FM Spartanburg, always live on the Free Odyssey app.
Man, check this out.
You're an official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents me to win. Yeah.
To what?
Nothing.
Oh, man.
Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning indeed. Hello, upstate South Carolina. What's up, America?
Good morning.
Howdy, world. Welcome in. The Rob Brown radio program is on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Happy midweek to you, my dudes, my dudettes, my amigos, my amiguettes. It is, as always, spectacular to be with you ever so early in the AM portion of the day.
Is it? Because you don't seem like you're feeling it. This is the first time we spoke this morning.
It is, which is unusual. Ordinarily, Lonzo and I just full of cheer, love, perhaps sprinkled romance.
I don't know about all that, man. You definitely are feeling weird this morning. Rob is one of those guys who feels obligated to speak to someone when they walk in the room, which is not necessary. When we see each other more than we see other people, for the most part, you don't have to say hi every time someone walks in the room.
I do have to do that.
Yeah, but it's never heartfelt. It's hello, Lonzo.
No, listen.
He gets bass in his voice that should only be reserved for somebody else.
Hello. Good morning, South Carolina. I've missed you all so much. I am absolutely the dude that if somebody I know walks in a room, I'm saying hello. I can't not. I don't know what you want. I'm just a friendly guy like that.
But when it becomes an obligation,
it's not an obligation.
But it seems that way. It really does. It seems like, okay, your entire day is going to be ruined if you don't say hello when someone walks in a room.
It's just, it's like awkward to me, and I acknowledge it's a me thing. It's just awkward to me to have someone exist in your area and not acknowledge them.
Okay. And it's odd to me that every time I walk in the room, someone has to say something. So,
Anyway.
But he didn't do it this morning.
Because the struggle bus was rolling through the life of Rob Brown this AM.
I saw that Rob was deep in thought and was writing the story, and I did not interrupt him by talking to him. I let him do his work because, I knew the room.
I mean, I appreciate that. I will acknowledge that this AM. Here's what happened. Robbie B last night
stayed up too late.
Got fully invested in the NBA play-in tournament.
See, what I did this morning, I watched all the Laker Pelican game, but I got up this morning and just fast forwarded to the last 2 minutes to look at all the sad faces.
You would?
No, I literally did that. I did that. And
I'm not doubting that you did it.
It made my morning.
Robbie B got highly invested in last night's play-in game, and it led to your boy staying up dramatically too late watching Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors try to mount any kind of late game comeback against De'Aaron Fox, Keegan, and the Sacramento Kings, which they were obviously unsuccessful in doing, hence Lonzo this AM being as chipper as he is. Because the play-in...
You hear him chewing on the binky? You can literally hear him chewing on his binky. All right, I'm going to stop eventually.
I doubt it. TBH, I doubt it. We'll find out. What I do know is Lonzo this AM has a little pep in his step, a little giddy to his up, and it's all because his irrational, unfounded hatred of Steph Curry.
Yeah, it's irrational. It's definitely irrational.
We brought Hayden Asmario on. He'll join us today, by the way, at 9:00 to discuss last night's playing games and tonight's playing games.
And you found a way to put a rift between he and I, and apparently
I didn't find a way.
Apparently, it must be Golden State because
last
time the fact that you put your feet up and had that evil grin on your face, like here we go, this is going to be fun.
The haters.
Your irrational hatred of Steph Curry has you this AM.
Dear that little guy. Oh,
the happiest you have been in a week and a half. I think you are prepared to gloat more about Steph getting the ticket to Cancun than you were about the Gamecocks winning the national championship a couple weeks ago.
That's not true, but I am. This is the happiest I've been since Tom Brady retired.
I am not in any way, shape, or form.
See, that was a better comparison. I'm just saying.
All I know is I got to the office this morning.
Oh, they just showed Steve. He looks so sad. With
that, sir,
big old square head.
That is the coach of your United States men's national basketball
He better
team.
bring home the gold.
Yeah, I mean, you're hating on the guy right now. You're sending bad juju.
He better bring
way.
home the gold. I'm counting on the assistant coaches in that.
Steph Curry, by the way, playing for Team USA in the Olympics. He's on the roster.
Yeah, hopefully he does better on that.
I mean, we're going to pretend like Sacramento ain't a good basketball team. Is that what we're doing here?
None of these teams are really that good in the play-in games. That's why they're in the play-in games.
I disagree with you. I think this year, we're actually going to talk about this later in the show. The parity in the NBA this year is as good as I have ever seen it. Genuinely, it's as you have Boston in tier 1, and then you have everybody from 2 down to 9 and 10. Maybe not Atlanta and Chicago. I think everybody, there's Boston up top. And then I honestly feel like everybody from the 2 seed down to the, let's say, 8 seed in the East, and the 1 seed down to the, well, now 9 seed in the West are as close in terms of overall talent, overall competition from top to bottom, are as close as I have ever seen that many teams. Right now, would you bet a paycheck Denver sweeps the Lakers in the first round?
No.
No, I wouldn't either. And ordinarily, it feels like to me, there is a first round 1 or 2 matchup with a play-in team that I'd be willing to throw a paycheck and a sweep on. But I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it with the Lakers and the Nuggets, and I'm not doing it with either Sacramento or New Orleans, the winner of that game, against the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think both of those top 2 seeds are beatable. It's an uphill battle. It's an uphill climb for sure. It's going to take the Lakers doing what they did last night a lot of times in a row, and that's not easy to do. And let's also, because obviously I got to defend this house, click-clack. Let's also point out LeBron went down with a leg injury with like a minute and a half left to play in a game that the Pellies trailed by 18, fought all the way back, tied that basketball game up.
Zion went down. You said LeBron.
Zion went down.
Yeah.
You know what I meant. If somebody went down in that game, you all know who it was.
That's true. Unfortunately.
I went out last night and I met up with some of the guys and gals in the supporters club for the Reedy River Riot to watch the Greenville Triumph in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup They unfortunately lost on the road to a very good Louisville squad in Kentucky. We got a bad draw. Had to go on the road for a very good team. Bad draw. Got the L handed to us last night in the Open Cup, and that's okay. You made it a couple of rounds deep. You'd have liked one more, maybe two, but it is what it is. Went out, left with extra time starting there to get home to watch the Birds finish up with the Lake Show. Sitting in the chair, Zion had 40 points, 11 boards last night.
Yeah, he had a really good game.
That was Zion. And I'm sitting there texting some buddies of mine down in New Orleans, and I'm like, my goodness, like, if Z's going to play like this, we got a chance. That version of Zion can play with Gilgeous-Alexander. That version of Zion, the 40-point, 11-board, 5-assist version of Zion, can play with Nikola Jokic. He can make us competitive. And not 3 minutes after I send that tweet or send that text, Braun goes up, puts in a bucket, comes down, grimaces, immediately gestures over to the sideline, yo, come get me, dog, and heads straight to the locker room. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And the Birds still had a fighting chance. They still gave themselves opportunities down the stretch. They just didn't have Zion to go against LeBron. What I tell you last night, you needed Zion and Big Z to match LeBron. Zion matched LeBron by himself. Zion outdid LeBron for 3.89 quarters until his leg gave out.
But there's this thing where it's team, not individual. I'm just saying, when he went down, his other guy should have stepped it up.
Dude, listen, there is, and this is not on you, but you have hit it. You've triggered me. Okay? You've triggered me. I despise this. Well, next man up. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. If that's how it worked, there'd be no such thing as a superstar in the NBA. But there is, because sometimes a guy's really damn good. And you can't just go, oh, Zion had 40 and 11 and gets hurt. Jose Alvarado should have stepped up and been Zion. That's not how it works.
Yeah, but he's too busy trying to fight. So, I mean,
D'Angelo Russell's a punk, dude. He's like poor man Draymond Green. He's a punk, dude.
He's a punk that can shoot, though.
He can. He was a baller last night. It's aggravating. But this whole, Zion went down. He had 40 and 11, dude. You don't just have a 40-point night in the NBA.
Well, it's kind of, when you do have a superstar who has not made it through an entire season healthy, you probably want to spread some of the shooting around a little bit, so it's not all put on him, because you see what happened when he went down. The fact that they were down, 18, and they were able to battle back, that wasn't all him. That was other people that helped battle back. And where were those guys? Also, you're saying it was all him?
No, what I'm saying is, if a guy's having a 40-11 night, then yes, defenses go to stop him, and suddenly the floor is open for other guys. The Pellies had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other guys in double digits, but nobody went for the minute. I don't know what you do when CJ McCollum, who was averaging 30.5 points in the last 7 games leading up to this moment, last night has 9 on 1 of 9 from 3.
So you're saying that guy should have stepped it up?
What I'm saying is Z shoulder.
So that guy wasn't playing as well as he should have been, and if he was playing what his average is, they could have won the game.
No, what I'm saying is, if you lose a
Thank
guy,
you for bringing that up, though. That proved my point. I appreciate it.
What I'm saying is, if you don't see that last night the Pellies were in that game because Zion was 17 of 27 and had 40 in the paint, because he was 0 for 1 from 3. Everything else he shot was up close. If 40 points on 17 of 27, if you don't see he's the reason they were competitive last night, I don't know what to tell you.
All right, he is one of the reasons they were competitive, but here's the thing. There was an 18-point lead for a reason, and then the Lakers got tired because they're old. If the Lakers were 10 years younger, that game never got close.
Yes. Prime LeBron does not let that game get close. I'm not going to I think that's absolutely correct. But he ain't prime LeBron anymore. What they do have is prime Anthony Davis. What they do have is prime D'Angelo Russell. What they do have is prime Austin Reeves.
The alley-oop king.
This is still, and this is what I'm saying. In fact, now we are going to have the conversation later because I read an article, wouldn't it shock you, from a Laker writer earlier. And it was like, Adam Silver got the parody he so desperately wanted. Don't be shocked if it's his undoing. I'm like, shut up, nerd. Shut up. Because there's nothing more aggravating than dynasty fan who thinks that the NBA playoffs, any league playoffs, should just be a coronation of their team, which is what this guy was doing. When you have so much parity around the league, you make it harder for guys like LeBron. Yes, that's the point. That's the point. The NBA playoffs this year are the best that they have been in a long time, and they haven't even started yet. I mean, they started last night, but they haven't even started yet. You had two teams getting at it last night. Two teams that, by the way, if LeBron's going to go shoot. And by the way, LeBron didn't really have a great night. He was 6 of 20 from the floor. He had an okay night. He just had a bunch of clutch points. Anthony Davis was 6 of 16. It's a good night. It's a good night. They were good all around. The Lakers were a good team last night. The Pelicans last night, and this is something I'm worried about. I will acknowledge this to Zoe's point. There is something that has to be said, which is the Pelicans wasted a 40-point night from Zion Williamson because Brandon Ingram was 4 of 12. Herb Jones was 4 of 7. Not a bad night. Valanciunas is 1 of 7 on the night. That man doesn't shoot a jumper from outside of 5 foot. How are you 1 of 7 from point blank range, dude? Garbage, my guy. And I love Jose Valanciunas. He's one of the guys that noted Pelicans fan Keegan, P1 of the show, and I, whenever the Pellies play, we talk about this guy all the time because he's just a grinder in the paint. But I can't have you go 1 of 7 on layups, dude. You lost by 4. If Jose is 5 of 7, 4 of 7, the Pelicans win this game. So now Willie Green's got to figure out in one day, assuming Zion can come back, by the way, he's got MRI scheduled today. He left with left leg soreness. I'm really hoping that dude just caught a dead leg and he's going to be fine, because I will go ahead and say that while I understand the next man up philosophy, if Zion doesn't play against Sacramento, the Pelicans season ends the way that I have been assuming it would the entire time. Again. So if Zion can come back, Willie Green, who is not my choice to continue running that team, despite the fact that we gave him an extension for reasons I still don't understand. If Zion can come back, we got a shot against Sacramento. I think it's a long shot. We're going to be dogs because we can't win at home.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I heard earlier that the Pelicans have beat Sacramento every time they played them this year.
They have. And Lonzo, what happens when you have a storyline like that in the playoffs? Inevitably, what happens?
I am not going to. I'm not going to sink to your level of negativity. You've defeated them every single time. You're going to do it again.
I will wade through the ocean of negativity on my own. I will brave the treacherous waters of pessimism like the captain that I am.
These are seas that you've sailed many times, so it isn't like it's unfamiliar waters.
Sailed them. I live on them. They are me. I am them. Every time there's this storyline, the Pelicans have beat the Kings every time they've played. until the playoffs. It's inevitable. We're getting Thanos, dog. We're getting Thanos in the play-in tournament. We finally build a team. You get a full season out of Zion. B.I.'s playing all-star ball. CJ's scoring 30.5 down the stretch. It is the best my team has ever played ball, and we're going to get bounced in double elimination style because we just collapsed. We've never lost to the Kings. Yeah, we're going to get beat like 140 to 110. Watch.
Wow. How do you survive with that kind of fandom? I mean,
daily.
Okay.
I do it every day because I know how this game I know how this game goes. I know how this story unfolds. There's this big hype machine, and everybody, you're going to have Screaming A and Chuck, Shaq.
You know, Pelicans, they never lost to the Sacramento Kings. I think the Sacramento Kings got a real problem. They got to go on the road down to New Orleans. Some people are real excited about this game.
That's like Shaq and Chuck mixed into one. I know how this game goes. We spend an entire day, Ernie and the gang, going to be talking about how Sacramento's got a big hill to climb because New Orleans owns them. They've never beat the Pellies. They're going to get smart. And then they're going to come down to NOLA, and they're going to be this 140 to 110. Zion's not going to play. All of a sudden, CJ McCollum has just forgot how to shoot a three. 30.5 points, 7 consecutive games. And all of a sudden last night, in the only one I needed him to be good, he just forgets how to hit a three. Just forgets. Wide ass open. These aren't contested threes. CJ's sitting out there in the corner getting wide. Entire defense collapses because Zion's down there. 5 guys in the paint for LA. The kick out to McCollum, and all of a sudden, that dude can't hit iron if his junk depended on it. What are we doing? So Sacramento's going to come to the house.
Wow, the stakes got really high all of a sudden.
They're going to come to the house. They're going to beat us. Life is pain. Sports are pointless. Everything sucks. I hate sports. I hate sports so much. They're the worst.
Make sure you stay tuned to this sports show.
When we come back, sports. We'll talk about the play-in games from last night. The Lakers knock off the Pelicans, send them to the double elimination game against the winners of the 9-10 matchup. As everybody come look at the stream and see the smile on Zoe's face. Steph Curry bounced from the playoffs by the Kings last night. So the Kings travel to NOLA on Thursday, tomorrow, for an elimination game. The Lakers are in, and they draw the Denver Nuggets in the opening round. Oh, well, at least we don't have to face the Nuggets. Shut up. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Diggs, what's up, player? Welcome in, buddy. Good to have you.
On the Fan Upstate. Partial sunshine develops today, high of 83. Tonight, chance for storms, low of 59. Thursday, sunny, high of 87. Friday, chance for storms, 85. Sunny, Saturday, chance for rain on Sunday. Meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on the Fan Upstate. Currently, it's 64.
If you are looking to buy a home, you might be waiting for interest rates to fall. And that makes sense, right? Well, here's a little free knowledge from Allen Tate Realtors. You actually cannot afford to wait. See, mortgage interest rates are indeed predicted to drop this year. But take this fact into consideration. Home values in the Carolinas are still rising by about 6% annually. So you might save some money by waiting for a lower interest rate, but that saved money is likely to be offset by a higher home price down the line for the exact same home. The perfect time to move is right now. And the perfect folks to help you do it are waiting for you at Allen Tate Realtors. Do not miss out and watch the home of your dreams rise in cost, or worse, go off the market completely. Call Allen Tate Realtors, the #1 real estate company in the Carolinas, and let them help you navigate the market today. Visit them online at allentate.com.
Did you know Ingalls only sells USDA choice and prime cuts of meat? Maybe it's time to reward yourself. Our butchers cut all our meat fresh in the store every day. Grass-fed, organic, you name it. Not only that, we'll even cut it to order just the way you like it. And we grind meat fresh in the store multiple times a day. It's all in the bag. That's the best meat in town.
State.
Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce.
There was a,
our new technology
unfortunately,
platform developed by AmericanEagle.com
CBS
has produced
tag.
tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and
the
online.
end of
You have
all the
any
Rome
conversion
stuff.
you need to
Oh.
take care of.
I'm
Check
going
us out
through
at
and
Like the stuff that they send down.
it's a donut that Mark put together for me, and I put the promos in.
Yep.
But when you've done the same thing for so long, you don't listen to the beginnings and the ends of it. And so I may or may not be in trouble. I don't know. I mean, it's a very small thing, but it slipped through. Unfortunately, there's like, I don't know, 70 promos that I have to go through.
While we're there, stop by and get a free $20 power card and 15% off Dave & Buster's great food. We'll count down to the state process with expert analysis, exclusive interviews, and insider scoops, plus the best live coverage. It's time to fan up with the NFL Draft only on the Fan Upstate. Talk to Robin Lonzo. Call 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-FAN-FONE. This is the award-winning Rob Show.
The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rob Brown, the Grip Alonzo on the ones and twos this AM. You can be a part of the radio broadcast. Shoot us a phone call on the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas Fan Phone at 844-326-3663. 844-FAN-FONE. The text line is open for you today at 71307, 71307. If you want to get us in that direction, you can also tweet us if you wish to do so. Shoot us a tweet at The Rob Brown Show, at The Rob Brown Show. You can shoot us a tweet at Lonzo on Word, and you can shoot us a tweet to everybody at The Fan Upstate, at The Fan Upstate. So I read an article earlier this week, and I had kicked it around about whether I was going to bring it back up or not. I had kicked it around about whether it was something that we wanted to get into, I wanted us to get into. And I'd kind of gotten to the point where I'm like, it is what it is. Like, I'm not super worried about it. But I do think I want to get into it. I read an article earlier this week on Yahoo Sports, and the writer of said article will have to forgive me, but I forgot who it was. It was an LA guy. It's always an LA guy. And he wrote that Adam Silver and the NBA have been on a quest to create more parity around the association. And this writer had the point, and I use the word point very loosely, that has become a successful endeavor for the NBA. That the parity is as good as it has ever been. And I think that it is.
I was going to say, when's the last time there was a dynasty?
There's really not one right now. The Nuggets, like maybe, but they're going to have to win like 3 more in the next 5 to be even close to it. The Celtics, very good every year, can't get it done in the playoffs. Let's just look at the West. From 6 to 10, the Suns, the Pelicans, the Lakers, the Kings, the Dubs. There was no clear-cut favorite in that. The Suns and the Pelicans had 49 wins. The Lakers had 47. The Kings and the Dubs had 46. All in striking distance of each other right up till the very last day of the season. And yes, the Thunder had 57 wins. The T-Wolves had 56. The Nuggets had 57 when it was all said and done. But my question is right now, would any of you put a paycheck down that the Lakers don't win 2 out of 7 in the opening round? I don't think so. I doubt it. Between 1, 2, and 3, Thunder, T-Wolves, Nuggets. Now that Karl-Anthony Towns is back for Minnesota, any of you got a betting favorite between those 3 that you're most comfortable putting a paycheck on the line for? I don't. I think any of those 3 teams, I'll tell you right now, I have no NBA champions futures bets down right now. None. I didn't take one because I don't trust the Celtics out of the East. I won't trust them until they get it done. Knicks, Bucks, Cavs, Pacers, Magic. There's not a team that I love the most out of those squads. In the West, we just mentioned them. Thunder, Nuggets, T-Wolves, Clippers, Mavericks, Suns. 1 through 6. The only team that I don't think can do it, and it's too bad because I really like this team, is Phoenix. I think Phoenix just isn't deep enough to get there. But outside of that, top 5, and honestly, any of the 4 play-in teams. I thought Klay fixed the Warriors. Klay went 0 of 10 for 0 points last night. In a game that might have been his last as a King because Klay's going into free agency, he didn't show up. If he shows up last night, the Dubs could have just as easily won that game as the Kings and sent Sacramento back home. I think parity is as good as I can remember it being in the National Basketball Association. And we've got people complaining about that. We've got people who are unhappy about that. I don't understand that. This NBA playoffs is set up to be incredible. And it started last night. It's going to continue tonight. Now, I don't think the Bulls or the Hawks, a pair of teams that were both dramatically under 500, are teams that are getting anywhere close to a trophy. With all due respect. Neither one of those teams are anywhere near. But the 76ers with Joel Embiid, by the way, who's listed as questionable tonight, he's likely to play. I think this designation was more of a cautionary move from Philly. But Joel Embiid makes the Philadelphia 76ers a good team. I will tell you, if I'm going to play a futures bet, I might throw one at the 76ers tonight. The Heat, not necessarily a great team, but as we've talked about on this show, and we are not alone in it, Eric Spoelstra, for some reason, just turns into a wizard with a clipboard when the playoffs roll around. I'm real excited about that game tonight. Philly, Miami has got a chance to be an all-timer. I like Philadelphia in the win. I like Miami to knock off whoever wins Bulls Hawks and sneak in as the final seed. But on both sides of the bracket, the parity's incredible. And I'm reading this column from an LA guy who's like, you got your wish. Parity's as good as it's ever been before. But you've just made it tougher for your superstars to get to the next level. Okay? Like, isn't part of the requirement to be a superstar that you win against the best? Isn't that kind of the requirement to be on that level? We've had this conversation a lot the past 2 weeks. We've talked about it with Caitlin Clark. We've talked about it with Scotty Scheffler. We've talked about it with a number of NFL players as we are now a week and a day away from the NFL draft. We've had this conversation a lot. I want to see sports be good because sports are good, with the understanding that we still tune in for personality. I still want that to be a focus of ours.
So we're back to the I versus team thing again.
I think so.
This is what this comes down to. And in the NBA, can a team win without a star?
Nope. I don't think you can. What team right now that is a genuine threat for the title, what team right now doesn't have a star? There's not one. There's 2 in Boston as the 1 seed. Jalen Brunson has become a star for the Knicks. Paulo Banchero for the Magic. Dwayne and Giannis for the Bucks. Tyrese Halliburton for the Pacers. SGA for the Thunder. Bonafide. Chet Holmgren becomes a Rookie of the Year candidate. And in any year where Victor Wembanyama isn't an alien, he wins it.
But a lot of these guys were not stars when they started. They worked their way into it.
Sure. I mean, I don't think you see as many from the get superstars like LeBron and those kind of guys.
I mean, you would say that Steph Curry, at least around here, everyone knew who he was. So it wasn't a surprise when he went in and became a star. The European players, it's a little bit, you can't really throw those guys in except for like Wemby. I mean, look at all the hype before he even got over here.
And he lived up to it, by the way.
He did. The team did not, but he did.
I think the team was exactly what I thought the team was going to be. The Spurs sucked. They just happened to suck with an alien playing. Yes, the NBA is a star-driven league, but you've got to be. Again, I point out last night, Zion's performance last night. If he just gets an average night from CJ and BI, the Pelicans win that game 9 out of 10 times. If there's a game that Zion hits 40, the Pelicans win 9 out of 10. But last night, LeBron was LeBron. Wasn't even really playoff LeBron. He had 23. It's like a good night, not a great night.
Yeah, but he was hustling the entire time. He was up and down the court. He was at least attempting to block shots. I mean, he was present always.
Last night was a perfect illustration of sometimes impact doesn't show up on the stat box. Sometimes the impact you have on a game does not show up in the numbers. That's LeBron last night. LeBron was taking charges like he was a 22-year-old college kid last night. There was one play where the Pelicans got like 3 offensive boards. Ball ends up in the hands of, I want to say it was Herb. Herb drives to the lane. He's got a wide open layup. I'm thinking he's going up left-handed, just kiss it off the glass. Pelly's going to go up by a deuce. And all of a sudden, you see a blur of gold, yellow. And here's 39-year-old LeBron James, who slides over into the perfect position and takes a charge. Offensive foul going the other way, and the momentum of the Pellies is
By
killed.
the way, I thought LeBron was going to die. So, I mean, when he took the charge from Zion, the way LeBron went flying, I mean, that was you can't say, oh, LeBron is flopping. Ain't nobody not flying when Zion hits him the way that he hit LeBron.
Anybody who had anything negative to say about LeBron last night, 100% without a doubt.
The haters.
Not a question, man. It was just all night.
That was a pancake block that any NFL lineman would be proud of.
You or me like that, we're dust.
Yeah, probably
We're dust.
There's some broken bones or something's caving in for sure.
39-year-old man out there taking charges like that. Last night, LeBron James had an incredible impact, but he also had AD playing well and Hachimura playing well and Austin Reeves doing Austin Reeves things. And that's all the difference. Again, if Zion, even with the Lakers playing the way the Lakers played last night, if Zion gets just an average night from everybody else. He got a good night from Trey. He got an okay night from Herb. But Valanciunas sucked last night. CJ McCollum sucked last night. Brandon Ingram looked like a guy that just came back from missing 2.5 weeks last night.
So injury aside for Zion,
If Zion doesn't get hurt, Pelicans win that game, by the way.
There's a good shot of it. I mean, it was back and forth. I don't think you could say that for sure. So there's no chance that, as we talked about yesterday, the coach went in and said, "Hey, we don't want to win this one."
No.
There's no chance.
No.
Okay. All right.
And I don't think that's true of either team. Los Angeles came for blood last night. Pelicans got into a scrap fight with him. I absolutely believe if Zion does not go down to whatever his injury was, the Pelicans win that game last night. They finish at home. But without B.I., CJ, Valanciunas, any of them just being average, I just needed average, the Pelicans are screwed.
See, and I disagree. I don't think the Pelicans were ever going to win that game. Even when they came back, there was something. They never actually got momentum. Even coming back as much as they did, they never got the kind of momentum that a team coming back like that should have had.
I disagree. When
sounds like you're looking at it from a fan standpoint.
Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's off. When Trey Murphy hit the second 3 from 4 feet back, when that second 3 in a row fell from 4 feet behind the arc.
Okay, all right, because that's
that place
would be a 3 if it was 4 feet away.
That place was electric last night. The place was electric. I've got a buddy of mine, John Prentice, used to be the guitarist in the band Cowboy Mouth. It's a buddy of mine in IRL, as the kids say. He's at that game. We were talking back and forth. He's like, dude, this place is as loud as I've ever heard it for a Pelicans game. It was rocking. There is nothing that the Pelicans wanted last night than to send AD's ass home. I promise you, they got it out for that guy after his departure.
And they should. I mean, that's a sign of a good crowd. You don't forget.
They were electric in the blender last night, and I do believe they had the momentum. And then Zion grimaced and left the floor, and the wind came out of the sails. Because everybody went, oh, you got to be bleeping kidding me. This guy's got a 40-11-5 game going. This guy's playing arguably the best game of his career to this point. He's got LeBron and AD on the ropes. We've got him down by a couple. He misses a point-blank layup and comes up hurt and checks himself out of the game. The wind came out of the sails that were pointed towards victory.
So Rob Brown, noted Pelicans fan.
And nowhere a ball.
Yes. At what point in the game did you secretly say to yourself, hoping no one's watching the change of your face when you're saying it to yourself, when is he going to get hurt?
I wasn't.
So never once. But when it happened, you were not surprised.
Correct. I never thought to myself, the inevitable is coming, right? Because he's played the whole season. He made it through an entire NBA regular season. It's like, it's going to be this one. And of course, that's me. I should have known better. I should have known it's me. It's my team in the playoffs. I can't have my teams aren't allowed to have nice things in the playoffs.
The Saints have won the Super Bowl
in 2009. I don't know if you know this, Lonzo. That was 15 years ago.
There are some teams who have never even been to the Super Bowl. So
hi, Falcons fans. I am aware. We got one 15 years ago. 15 years ago, we got one. And 15 years ago, we got one. And since then, I'm not allowed to have nice things. I'm just not. I'm just not allowed to have nice things. I got my Saints out here getting screwed with missed pass interference calls. I got Zion playing a whole year healthy, making the best Pelicans team since AD left. It doesn't get hurt all year, then gets hurt 2 points shy of moving on into the playoffs with the best team we've ever had. Like, I'm not allowed to have nice things. Sports hate me. I'm convinced of it. All right, 844-326-3663. The renewal by Anderson to the Carolinas fan phone is open for you. Your thoughts on last night's play-in games, your thoughts on tonight's play-in games. We will preview and profile Bulls, Hawks, Sixers, Heat, all coming up, and some college football. Michigan's in trouble. I will allow Lonzo to expound later on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
if you want to call that trouble.
Oh, Jim. The haters, man.
They finished second in the Metropolitan Division. They rested 8 regulars in the meaningless regular season finale. The Hurricanes
to reach the postseason for the 6th consecutive year. College baseball Tuesday, number 6 Clemson beat Charlotte 8-5. Number 7 Duke with a 2-1 win over Gardner-Webb. Number 19 Coastal Carolina beat number 11 North Carolina 5-4. Number 12 Wake Forest fell 8-5 at home against UNC Wilmington. Number 20 South Carolina 4-3 winners at the Citadel. The Braves beat the Astros 6-2 in Houston on Tuesday. Atlanta put up 4 runs at the top of the ninth. Reynaldo Lopez struck out 7 over 6 scoreless innings. Orlando Arcia hit a solo homer to left in the 2nd and a sac fly in the 7th. The series finale is today. Lefty Max Fried starts for Atlanta.
State.
Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. Download the Odyssey app, search the Fan Upstate, and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
Up to the minute, upstate traffic. Overnight roadwork northbound 85 around US 25 Whitehorse to Augusta Road has had the left 2 lanes closed all night. Looks like they're cleaning it up right now, but the Cordell and Cordell Jam Cam. Still a lot of flashing lights left around Pleasantburg Drive. Otherwise, 85 is running good. Skim disturbed. From the News Talk, WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on The Fan, Upstate.
The future of medicine is here at QC Kinetics. Hey, it's Charlie James. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in the most exciting revolution in pain management we've seen in decades, regenerative medicine. If your joint pain is keeping you from doing what you love, you need to call QC Kinetics now. Surgery, steroids, drugs, these are no longer your best options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative treatments that deliver lasting results. Your body's own power to repair and restore damaged joint tissue. QC Kinetics is under the leadership of National Medical Director Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup. Dr. Scheinkup is a pioneer in this field with 20 years of clinical work, tons of research, teaching, and publishing, and he wants you to get relief with a needle, not a knife. Call QC Kinetics now to learn more about some exciting options. This is a revolutionary approach that can get you long-term relief with no down payment. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation, 864-448-3772 in Greenville and in Asheville, 864-448-3772, 864-448-3772.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive annual travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Hey, this is Carly, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A chicken minis is the combination of flavors. The first thing I always taste is the honey butter. It gets me going in the morning. The chicken minis are phenomenal. The roll is soft and the chicken is crispy. I never had chicken for breakfast before, but they were so good. I told my mom and sister about it, and now they're a family thing. It's the perfect breakfast bite.
Breakfast starts with chicken minis and Simply Orange Juice on the Chick-fil-A app. Real customer paid for their testimonial.
Hey everyone, Boomer Esiason here. From brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has over 122 million parts you need at the prices you want. It's easy to bring home that kind of big win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Pluto TV is as easy as it is free, and it's totally free. With over 300 channels and thousands of TV shows and movies, finding what you love has never been easier. Just download the app. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, The Fan.
Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville. 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Always live from the Free RC app. Now, the Infinity Sports Network. No need to check the clock. It's Rob Brown time. Now, weekday mornings from 6 to 10 on The Fan, Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show continues. It is The Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Robin Lonzo with you on a midweek edition of the show. Should you elect to be a part of the program, the renewal by Anderson to the Carolinas fan phone is 844-326-3663. Ozzie Albie is going to be missing some time. He has a fractured big toe after he took an HPP off the wheel in a game against the Astros earlier in the week.
What?
He got hit in the foot with a ball.
What's
hit by pitch?
Hit by okay. All right.
HPP.
All right. Just trying to help.
Forget that not everybody's a baseball nerd.
Yeah, just trying to help everybody out.
A hit by people who listen to the show know ball, right? You knew what an HPP was.
I'm looking out for the people who don't. That's all.
Wait for it.
He's the man of the people.
There it is. Ozzy Abbott's going to miss some time. The Bravos will be without their all-star shortstop for some time. They've got some moves to make. They have gone the last couple of nights and brought up a young man who came over from the New York Mets, the Braves with Darno, and now the young man playing shortstop Guillermo. This is a team that has robbed New York blind, and I'm here with it. The Braves did win 6-2 yesterday evening. Luis Guillermo is the guy they brought up, a 5'10", 190-pound righty who is filled in to that role, traditionally a second baseman, but a middle infielder who has slid over and been running at the shortstop position or allowing Arcia to move over into that spot. He played shortstop the first night. He did move to second last night, and Arcia slid over to play shortstop last night. Braves get a good outing from Lopez, 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 walk, 7 Ks on the night through 94 pitches, 61 of them in the zone. Had Matzik, Jimenez, and Bummer came in. Bummer tried to close out the ninth, couldn't do it. They did have to go to Iglesias to get the last out.
Dude's name is Bummer?
Dude's last name is Bummer. It is Aaron Bummer, a relief pitcher for the Bravos.
2 M's?
Correct. It is Bummer.
Okay. All right.
Comes in, can't close out the ninth. He ends up giving up 3 hits and a dinger that allowed Houston to kind of feel themselves a little bit. But it was, once again, the late inning offense from the ATL that gets it done. They put up 4 in the ninth. They were up 2-0 going into the ninth. And it's a good thing they found a little offense late because the Stros put up a couple in the home half of the ninth last night. But the Braves get another win that moves them to 6-2. They are 11-5 overall, 7-3 on the road. Here's what I'm real interested in. My guys, the Houston Astros are cooked, dude. They're 6-13. They're 4-8 at home. They have been swept by the Royals. They have been swept by the Yankees. And tonight, they might get swept by the Atlanta Braves. The Braves are 2-0 so far against the Houston Astros on this road trip. And it might happen one more time again, which for the record, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. They got one more against Houston tonight on the road. Then they are home this weekend for a 3-gamer against your reigning, defending, undisputed World Series champions, the Texas Rangers. And this to me is going to be a very interesting matchup because you're going to be catching the front end. You're going to be catching the front end of the Rangers rotation tonight. So I would love for Atlanta to get one more against H-Town. They've won 6-1, 6-2. We'll see how it goes tonight. This team is hitting the ball, but it's taking longer in games than I'm comfortable with. A team like the Texas Rangers that have the ability to put up a couple of runs early in the game, whether it's being big ball or small ball, Texas can score runs early. And I am concerned what happens to Atlanta if the pressure cooker gets turned on. All these games against Houston, these 3 they've won, there's 2 they've won back-to-back, 6-1, 6-2. They've waited until the 9th inning to get it going. I think they had a 1-run lead 2 nights ago before they put up a few in the 9th. They did it again last night, put up 4 in the 9th. I don't think you can allow Texas to hang around that long. It'll be a different outcome if you do. And this series against Texas at home, I think you got to take 2 out of the 3 because you did get 2 out of the 3 against Miami, but that last one against Miami got a little dicey. And I think you've got to have some momentum built because a sweep of the fish almost feels mandatory at this point. But Ozzy Albies going to be down for probably 15 days, probably 2 weeks with a fractured toe courtesy of an HBP to the wheel, a hit by pitch to the foot. You know, we talk like that around these parts because we know sports. You know who knows sports? Lonzo knows sports. That's why he's in charge of the Sports Flash.
And in charge of telling you the NBA playoffs will feature LeBron James after the LA Lakers knocked off the New Orleans Pelicans in the play-in tournament last night, 110-106. New Orleans trailed by as many as 18, but tied the game with minutes to play before Zion Williamson left with a leg injury. Williamson had 40 points and 11 boards, and an injury update is expected later today. James scored 23 to lead the Lakers. The Golden State Warriors got outscored 31-22 in the first quarter by Sacramento and were never able to fight back as they were eliminated from the playoffs by the Kings 118-94. Just I'm really excited about it. You know, I'm just not even going to read any more of that because I'm just so happy. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debates, and a lot of fun, a whole lot of fun. And it's all Wire to Wire. The Jam Cam. The Jam Cam, by the way, is my favorite. I'm talking to the Jam Cam, the Cordell and Cordell Jam Cam. It's a traffic report.
I'm gonna mess up your camera angle for a minute.
It's already it's already crooked.
It's already
Yeah. So.
Okay. Okay, good. I think it's gonna work. Oh my gosh, Lonzo's upside down.
I'm Joe Gacy. Chris doesn't get it. That's fine because he's not a wrestling fan.
There he is. Oh, the mic's in his way. That's why. There we go.
You know, I could have just took us off the stream for a minute.
You could have, but this is more fun.
Upside down, boy, turn me inside out and round, upside down. Trying to think of any other upside down songs that I know. Had to go all the way back to Diana Ross because I can't think of anything else that's upside down.
Walking on the ceiling?
That's dancing on the ceiling.
Dancing, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. It is dancing on the ceiling. Yeah, I like that. Oh, what a fun. What's your one?
Are you glad you're awake for this? I don't know, James. It might make some people queasy. 1.5 minutes.
This is what happens when engineering comes into the studio.
There
we go.
I could quickly stand on my head.
You could. I bet you. I don't know. I'd kind of like to see that. Challenge accepted.
I used to be able to do that back in 1980 something.
Okay. Now I have a fixed replacement Velcro that does not get in the way of the mounting point and also should still stick to that. So you go ahead and arrange that however you like.
It's more about someone, as per the original, who bangs the desk over there, and so the camera cannot stay stationary.
I don't want to work. Yes, exactly. I want to bang on the desk all day.
Thank you, Chris.
I do bang on the desk quite a bit.
I could leave the camera like that, James, if you want. I can turn it sideways. I can, I can even just like hold it and shake it the entire time. Okay.
Thanks, Christopher.
Prize picks. First break. Oh, no.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Real good, Corey LaJoy, as we head into hour numero dos of the Rob Brown radio program. I'm right here on the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, a man of the people.
He's a man of the people.
On the other side of the metaphorical glass this AM. Be a part of the radio broadcast on the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone at 844-326-3663. Text us on our text line at 71307, Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the air. You may shoot us a tweet at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo on Word, and at The Fan Upstate to get to everybody up in her. If you want to come at us in that direction. Not going to read it, mainly because he asked me not to, but Miles in Spartanburg just emailed the show at rob.brown at The Fan Upstate. I am Miles. I appreciate the very kind email that Miles just sent, saying he listens to the show every morning at 7 a.m. and enjoys.
Wait. I thought you said you're not going to read it.
I'm not. I'm just reading a detail or two.
Okay. It made it sound like he didn't want you to read it.
No, he said, don't read any of this on the air, please. It's just fan mail. Okay. I'm not going to, except for one thing. Miles he put some thoughts down in here about our discussion about the Olympics yesterday.
Yes.
We went through, for those of you who missed the show yesterday, we went through the list of Olympic events that are on the schedule for the Paris Olympic Games of 2024 yesterday. And Lonzo and I said, against the average man, if we went downtown and we picked 100 guys to do these events, which ones do you think you would actually be competitive in against the average American male? We went through all of them, and we talked about weightlifting. I said, I used to could weightlift, but I haven't done it anymore. Miles said, I still lift at 72. I still get 5 sets, 5 reps of 225 for a total of 25 reps every day on the bench.
By the way, that's awesome, Miles. And, I think you probably are like what R-Truth said when we talked to him, when we asked him how he's in such great shape in his 50s. And he said he just never stopped working out.
Yep. Good on you, big dog. Way to go. Well done. Well done. Appreciate that email, Miles. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 7:02 in the morning. You are 51 minutes and 12 seconds away from having to get clocked in at your 8 to 5-er. And, at some point within the first probably 20 minutes or so, you're going to go, God, I need a break. The boss is all over my hindquarters. My coworkers are asking me for stuff. I got pride. Don't want to do that. I want to take a break. And when you do want to take a break, you're going to want to talk about sports. That's why you're listening to this show, because you love sports and you're going to want to talk about sports. And if you're going to want to talk about sports on your first break at work, you're going to need to know what's going on in the world of sports. And if you're going to need to know what's going on in the world of sports, we do a segment just for that every day at this time, and we will do that now.
I'm not going to play with it anymore.
Yes, stop it. My buttons are rearranged, and something that used to be there is not there. So because I would never do that on purpose.
I don't know.
It is the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you start talking sports with your coworkers this AM at the office. Before I get there, Texas says, Rob, what's the structure of the NBA play-in tournament? I'm glad you asked. I will explain it. There are 2 first round and 1 second round play-in tournament games. The 7 and the 8 seed play each other. The 9 and the 10 seed play each other. The winner of the 7-8 game, which was last night's Pelicans-Lakers game, earns the 7 seed in the NBA playoffs. That, of course, the LA Lakers, they downed my Pelicans last night, 110-106. So the Lakers slide into the 7 seed. They will meet the 2-seeded Denver Nuggets. The winner of the 9-10 game moves on. The loser of the 9-10 game last night, the Golden State Warriors, are eliminated from playoff contention. The winner of the 9-10 matchup, Sacramento, now faces the loser of the 7-8 matchup. The winner of that game will become the 8th seed in the NBA playoffs. In the West, that means they will take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Over in the East, same structure. Tonight, the 7 and the 8 teams, that would be Philly and Miami matchup. The winner of that game will slide into the 7 seed in the East. The loser of that game will then take on the winner of the 9-10 matchup. That's Chicago and Atlanta. The loser of Chicago and Atlanta is eliminated from playoff contention. The winner will take on the loser of the Philly-Miami game, and the winner of that game will slide into the 8 seed in the East and will take on the Boston Celtics, the 1 seed overall. That's your play-in structure. That's what's on the line. So either Chicago or Atlanta will be eliminated tonight, and either Philly or Miami will be sent to the playoffs tonight. Whoever loses between Philly and Miami will take on whoever wins between Chicago and Atlanta. The winner of that game goes to the playoffs. The loser of that game is eliminated from playoff contention. So there's your play-in tournament structure on the NBA play-in tournament day number 2. Ladies and gentlemen, water cooler cheat sheet time. Let's get to item number 1. Hey, would you look at that? The NBA play-in tournament is item number 1 on the water cooler cheat sheet.
Wow.
I know, it's a shocker. Playing games taking place last night. We will start with the 9-10 matchup where the Sacramento Kings ran the Golden State Warriors out the building.
The haters. Haters, man. They like to drink their haterade and eat their hater tots.
118-94 is your final in that one. Sacramento will move on to the second play-in game. Last night, the Kings led by Keegan Murray, 10 of 20 from the floor, 8 of 13 from the arc, and a perfect 4 of 4 from the stripe. Also ended up with 9 boards and a couple of steals on the night. Listen to this number. You guys that listen to the show, you know, Paul. You know my favorite stat in basketball is the plus-minus number. The plus-minus number basically says when you are on the floor, just from when you check in to when you check out, when you were on the floor, what is the net score between the two teams? The plus-minus number for Sacramento's starters, great one. Plus 25, plus 29, plus 20, plus 20, plus 27. You get it as a plus number, that's good. You get it in the plus teens, that's good. You get it in the plus 20s, you had a great night. You have all 5 starters with a minimum of plus 20, you kicked their asses, dude. And that's what happened last night over on the Dubs side of things.
Okay. So Golden State is the team that got their butts
minus
kicked.
22, minus 10, minus 25, minus 21, minus 12. That's the plus-minus number for all 5 starters on Golden State's side of the ball.
Hey, Golden State side of the ball.
And if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you.
It's go home.
22 points for Steph Curry on 8 of 16 from the floor, just 3 of 7.
Oh, look, there he is.
Deep.
Now he has more time to do commercials.
He's got more time to make Subway commercials. You're right. 3 of 7 from the arc went Steph Curry. Draymond Green, 4 of 8 from the floor for 12. Wiggins had 12 as well on 4 of 11 shooting. 16 off the bench for Jonathan Kuminga. 16 off the bench for Moody. The only players in double figures for the Dubs last night. It just went sideways. They shot 31% from the three-point line, while Sacramento shot 46%. They went 41% from the field, while Sacramento went 43%. And again, as is tradition, the superstars get all the superstar calls. 23 free throws for Golden State, just 15 efforts from the stripe for the Kings, but it did not matter. Sacramento was able to adapt and overcome. They move on.
And maybe you can ask Mario this question when he joins. Did Klay Thompson hurt his chances at a free agency contract somewhere else?
You got to think he cost himself some money either way last night, right? Like the Dubs have said, Steve Kerr has said, we want that guy back. Like he's part of the DNA. He's part of the fabric of what this team is. But let's call it how it is.
Hey, we could have shot that well, you and I combined.
I promise you I can go 0 for in any game you ask me to.
Yeah, me too. I could do that.
Klay went 0 of 10 from the floor last night. A week and a half ago, I was giving this guy credit for fixing the Warriors. Last night, it was him that was broken. My goodness, what a fart of a performance from Klay last night. Sacramento moves on, and of course, they will now take on the New Orleans Pelicans for the final spot in the Western Conference playoff field as the Pellies get bounced by LeBron and the Lakers 110-106 last night. It had nothing to do with the fact that the Pelicans had 12 personal fouls go in their direction and 23 go the opposite way. I'm sure that was complete coincidence last night, but what are you going to do? It does not help, obviously.
Wow, that sounded like you were accusing the league of something there.
Lonzo,
I heard a little something underneath there.
In the National Basketball Association, do superstars get preferential treatment from the stripes? Yes or no?
It's that way in every sport.
Okay.
But it would seem to be more so in the NBA.
Correct. That's all I'm saying.
Which is why Zion got every call last night.
Zion got every call last night?
Right. Because he's a superstar, right? You just said superstars get preferential treatment.
23 personal fouls called against the Pellies, 12 in the entire game. In a game in which Zion Williamson was going at the rack every time he touched the ball, they got half the calls. It is what it is. Either way, Zion and the Birds take the L last night. 40 points out of Z last night. 11 boards, 5 assists, a steal, and a block to go with it.
I saw some pretty cheap stuff coming from the Pelicans last night, so I think they deserve to get called that many times, maybe more so. Especially when you're out there like headbutting people and stuff.
Oh my God! If that's a headbutt to you, Zoe. Come on, dude. If somebody did that to you at a bar, you'd laugh at him.
Well, I wouldn't be in a bar, but D'Angelo, I mean, all he did was keep his hands back and say goodbye, and he got technical too.
Dollar store Draymond, not Dollar General Draymond Green.
He's just doing his job, minding his own business, and your guy has to get over there and get up in there and stuff. And so, I mean,
that's it. That's exactly what happened. You nailed it.
If it was preferential treatment, then it would have went the way it should have gone, and it would have been technical on the Pelicans and not on the Lakers.
Zion gets 40, 11, and 5 with a steal and a block to go with it, but just nobody else for New Orleans did anything last night. Trey Murphy off the bench had a dozen. You had 10 from Nance, 10 from Alvarado, but you got 4 on 1 of 7 from Jose Valanciunas. It's not good enough. You got 9 on 4 of 15, including 1 of 9 from range from CJ McCollum, who was averaging 30.5 in the last 7 games. He had 9 on 1 of 9 from deep last night. Brandon Ingram, 4 of 12 from the floor last night for 11 points. It just was not good enough from everybody who was not Zion Williamson last night. So because they eat the L and Sacramento gets the dub on Thursday night, tomorrow night, the Kings and the Pellies will line it up in the blender one more time. The winner on to the playoffs, the loser eliminated from playoff contention. We do, of course, tonight have 2 games coming up in the Eastern Conference play-in tournament. as Miami and Philly will get it lit up at 7 p.m. The winner of that game will move on to be the into the playoffs as the 7 seed. The loser of that game will take on the winner of the 9:30 matchup between Atlanta and Chicago. The winner of that game takes on the loser of Miami Philly. The winner of that game ends up moving into the 8th spot where they will take on the Boston Celtics. So there's where your NBA play-in tournament is going to wrap up. Let's get to item number 2. The domination of the sport of basketball by one Caitlin Clark continues. 2 numbers that she was involved with during Monday night were absolutely crushed at this point. The WNBA draft recorded an average of 2.45 million viewers on Monday with a peak viewership of 3.09 million people. Last year's draft, 572,000.
So you say peak viewership. How long did they watch?
I don't know what the exact number is. That's just, hey, at any given moment where the most people were tuned in, it was 3.09 million.
I need a Cume breakdown because I want to know if they all tuned in to just the first part where everyone knew what was going to happen, or did they stay tuned? Because if they stay tuned, then that means the numbers have nothing to do with Caitlin Clark. It has to do with the college basketball, women's college basketball overall.
That would be where your average viewership comes into play. Your average viewership was 2.45 mil. So let's say we split the difference and say that about 500,000, maybe slightly more than 500,000 people tuned in, watched Caitlin Clark, and then tuned back out. 2.45 million viewers on average, which is at any given moment from the start of coverage until the sign-off. Dude, I don't care if they were only tuning in for Caitlin Clark. The draft record for the WNBA.
So maybe they tuned in to see NCAA champion Camila Cardoso get drafted. Maybe that's what they did. They tuned in for that.
I'm sure that there were people tuning in for Camila Cardoso.
I mean, why tune in for the consolation? You want to tune in to see where the champs went.
Yeah, that's it. Caitlin Clark, noted loser. Oh, by the way.
Consolation.
By the way. Let's also talk about the other record she broke.
Consolation Caitlin. It just, I mean, that's it has a ring to it.
The other record she broke, Lonzo, was that she sold more jerseys than Patrick Mahomes did this week. She sold more jerseys than any NFL player in the lead up to the draft.
Good for her. And now she will go into obscurity.
What the hell are you talking about?
She just will. She'll I mean,
what are you talking about?
3 months from now, people will not be talking about her at all.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to need you to walk me how you ended up at this, let's say, conclusion. How did you get there?
What, about 3 months?
Yeah.
What happens in 3 months, Rob? That would be football. And when football is going on, no one cares about basketball. So I absolutely came up with a timeline with thought. It wasn't some random, just out of the blue. Let's go with 3.
This woman.
I mean, her time in the sun.
Well, okay,
good for her. Good for
Why?
her. And she's going to go into obscurity because she's going to be playing with the big boys, so to speak, and not going to be as good.
Why do you? And this AM, I was reading through the text that got sent yesterday to Wire with Cole and Diesel, where what is the saltiness about Caitlin Clark? Is it just y'all weren't talking about my team, therefore she's bad? Like, where's this salt come from?
Because she's not a champion. I mean, she set scoring records, so she's a what do they call it? A ball hog, I believe is what they call it. So good for her, but she's not a champion, and the actual champions didn't get enough love when they should have.
So it is you didn't talk about my team enough.
Well,
mentality.
I mean, narrative
right.
was put forth, and now that narrative is over, they get the next step of the narrative. Now she will disappear. I mean, I hope she does really well wherever she's at.
No, you don't. You very clearly do not.
Sure, I do. But even you'll stop talking about her in 3 months.
Consolation Caitlin.
Yes, I am. I'm going to continue with that because I like that. I might even get T-shirts made.
I'm not hating on her. I'm just going to have T-shirts made calling her Consolation Caitlin.
It's she's not your daughter or anything. I don't know why you're getting so upset.
Because the woman is changing the way that the conversation takes place.
She quite possibly could be, but the sample size is still too small. She's notably
literally is 2.5 million people watch the WNBA draft.
Come on, Rob. Come on. You can't do that. You can't. I mean, you can try to do that. You can say that all those people tuned in for her, but you don't know that for sure. That's why I asked for the cum. That's why I want to know. If everyone tuned in for the first 5 minutes, then it was for her. But if they stay tuned, it wasn't for her.
Superstar after superstar after superstar have come out of women's college basketball into the WNBA, and I'm not done. And the highest WNBA draft number of all time was 2004 when Diana Taurasi came out of UConn and went to the WNBA, who was the Caitlin Clark of that day, and they had 642,000 viewers. It went to 2.5 million people. And you think she's just an irrelevant nobody in sports.
All right, we're going to find out if this bump continues and people actually watch the WNBA. We're going to find out. You can speculate right now, but all it is speculation. And until next season rolls around and you see if you have the same attention that happened this year, you can't. I mean, it's just speculation. I get you really like her as a player and everything. Quick question. She didn't win a championship.
Quick question. Ball hog Caitlin. Do you know who led women's college basketball in assists as an individual player this year? That would be Caitlin Clark, just so we're clear.
How many championships
led the
does she win?
Oh, now the assists don't matter. Now it's rings only.
I already said that before that. The championships are all you've labeled me that, so I might as well embrace it. So henceforth, going forward, I shall now be only about the championships because you labeled me that.
The rings only matter discussion is the most infuriating conversation we have.
Yeah, we know.
It's the most infuriating thing that happens.
I don't know. I can think of a couple other ones, but
it's real close.
Yeah.
If it ain't number one, it's on Mount Rushmore of things that tick Rob off.
There's a certain quarterback in Carolina that's up there too. But
just so we're clear. 346 assists this year. The next closest was at 227. She out-assisted the next closest women's college basketball player by over 110 rebound or assists.
And this led to a championship.
Can somebody call and have an intervention with Lonzo on the phone right now, please?
What do I need an intervention for? We are having a we're having a differing of opinion. That's all. That's,
This is completely BS. This is shame.
I mean, if you want the sunshine and rainbows, this ain't the show for that.
I don't want sunshine and rainbows. I want a conversation that doesn't involve Caitlin Clark's a flash in the pan.
No, consolation. When some people push something to a certain degree, they should be ready for pushback.
If the pushbacks make sense.
Okay, what have I said that hasn't made sense?
Okay.
Sample size isn't big enough to see if she's going to make a true impact on the WNBA. There have been stars that have come before, and people still aren't watching the WNBA.
There has been no Caitlin Clark. There hasn't.
You mentioned Diana Taurasi. What about Sue Bird? I mean, there are some people out there that have been really big stars. They go there, they disappear because they don't watch the product. If she causes a bump in people watching the WNBA and it's sustained for the entire season, then what you're saying is true. If not, then she goes into obscurity like most of the stars for that sport. And whether it should be or should not be, it just is.
Texter said Lonzo didn't need his Wheaties this morning.
Lonzo is fine.
Lonzo
hasn't raised his voice once.
Texter says no championships doesn't mean she's not the best player. That's ridiculous. Texter says, let's see, gotta stop listening to this show. Bye.
Liar. You're a liar. He's
Texter
still listening.
Ball hog. She had so many assists. What are you talking about, Lonzo? Texelation says Consolation Caitlin might be this dumbest thing ever. Lonzo's salty for no reason.
Okay, am I going to have to bring up the text line and find out it's the same person all those texts.
It's not. It's at least 3 different.
Is
people.
it? Is it?
Consolation, Caitlin, and Ballhog Guy are the same texture,
Yeah.
but all the other ones are different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. We'll go with Joe.
Good text, Joe. I like your text, Joe. Keep it up. All right, that was items 1 and 2, but we're way off the clock. So we'll hit 3 when we come back on the Rob Brown Show. It's a big one, by the way, on the Fan Upstate.
Prize Picks.
All right, guys, quick live reading. We're coming right back. Y'all stay right there. BRB. All right, y'all, we back.
You missed an opportunity. We could have come back fighting. And they would have thought,
wait.
They thought that was the reason why.
Hang on. You're so bad at this.
Yeah. Oh, crap. Oh, no, that's your mistake.
It's my mistake?
Yeah.
What's my mistake? What did I do?
I fixed it. It's your daily promo was about to play.
Oh, good catch. Thank you.
Yes.
I put a kill date on that. Why did it not kill? Maybe I didn't. The Rob Brown Show continues right here on the Fan Upstate. Let's get to what was supposed to be item number 3 on the water cooler cheat sheet. But let's be honest, it would have been a longer conversation than we would have wanted to slam into 2 minutes. Rip the bong, bro. Michigan and 5 current/former staff members of their football program have reached an agreement with the NCAA on recruiting violations and coaching activities by non-coaching staff members that occurred within the football program and the appropriate penalties for those violations. That is a quote from the agreement that was reported yesterday by Ross Dellinger. Michigan will be on probation for 3 years, face a fine, restrictions to recruiting, and the penalized coaches will have a 1-year show cause order per the NCAA announcement. One former Michigan coach, which it's not for certain, though it is presumed to be Jim Harbaugh, did not take part in the agreement, and the NCAA's Committee on Infractions will treat that case separately. The notice put out by the NCAA said, quote, the agreed upon violations involve impermissible in-person recruiting contacts during a COVID-19 dead period, impermissible tryouts, and the program exceeding the number of allowed countable coaches when non-coaching staff members engaged in on and off-field coaching activities, including providing technical and tactical skills instruction to student athletes. The negotiated resolution also involved the school's agreement that the underlying violations demonstrated a head coach's responsibility violation, and the former football head coach failed to meet his responsibility to cooperate with the investigation. The school also agreed that it failed to deter and detect the impermissible recruiting contacts and did not ensure that the football program adhered to rules for non-coaching staff members. The allegations that were filed back in January were that the Wolverines had impermissible meetings with 2 recruits during a COVID-19 dead period. Other violations, all which were considered level 2, included texting a recruit outside of a contact period, exceeding the NCAA's limits for on-field coaches by having analysts instruct players during practice, and having coaches watch players work out over Zoom. This is the case that saw Jim Harbaugh have the self-imposed 3-game suspension at the beginning of the 2023 season for what the NCAA deemed to be making false what's the word, Lonzo, where you intentionally say stuff that's not true?
That's called lying, Rob.
That's what I thought.
And that noise you heard. That's
the old slap on the wrist.
Yeah, slap on the wrist. That's what I'm doing.
Now, I saw this pop out yesterday, and I thought, ooh, we've got some new results from the sign stealing investigation. Nope. Is that because I said pop up?
You said I saw this pop out yesterday.
My loins have been tingling.
By the way, I don't know if you caught this during WrestleMania.
Oh, he said it multiple times.
Oh, I loved it so much.
Yeah, he did.
I loved it so much. This is unrelated to the sign stealing investigation. That investigation is ongoing. This is
okay. Thank you for clarification. So there's still a chance for actual punishment.
There is. This punishment handed down to the Wolverines is all about the recruiting violations that were the first investigation. The investigation that was investigated that Jim Harbaugh, gosh dang it, I forgot the word again, when he knew some things and the NCAA asked some questions and then he knowingly told them the wrong thing.
He lied, Rob.
That's it.
He lied.
That's it.
You know, we got a man on the inside. If this thing gets juicy, we're going to have to call that guy and get him on the show.
I'm good with that.
Oh, no, I absolutely. This is not sarcasm. This is when you know a guy that's somewhere where things are about to possibly get a certain way.
I'm intrigued. You know what? I'm actually genuinely intrigued. The resolution is going to have Michigan go on probation for 3 seasons, as well as have some level of scholarship penalties. They have, quote, this is the end of the statement from the NCAA. The agreed upon penalties in this case include 3 years of probation for the school, a fine, and recruiting restrictions in alignment with the level 1 mitigated classification for the school. The participating individuals also agreed to a 1-year show cause orders consistent with the level 2 standard and level 2 mitigated classifications of their respective violation. So there will be no scholarship reductions for Michigan. Basically, they got to pay a fine. They will have recruiting restrictions placed on them, which I'm assuming will mean, though they do not spell it out in the details here, because, and I quote, the committee will not discuss further details in the case to protect the integrity of the ongoing process, as the committee's final decision, including potential violations and penalties for the former coach, is pending. That's the Harbaugh side of it. But they're apparently not going to give us any more details as of right now.
Meanwhile, Jim Harbaugh is living in an RV. So when they come to get him, he'll say, look at me, I'm so destitute, I'm living in an RV. What are you picking on me for?
You know, there was a lot of thought that old Jimmy Harbaugh decided to bail up out of Ann Arbor because he just really wanted to go back and embrace the challenge of the NFL. And that may still be accurate and true.
What's your opinion on that? Because obviously mine is jaded, and I think that he went the Pete Carroll route. But that's just me.
The haters. They like to drink their haterade and eat their hater tots.
Sounds just like him.
My suspicion is that both things are true. I think Harbaugh's an NFL guy. I just think at his core, he's an NFL guy. I think he's had success, wild success at the NFL level. And I suspect that he feels like there's some unfinished business there. But I'm also confident that Jim Harbaugh saw this coming down the pipe, was like, my job's about to get a lot harder. My job's about to get a lot harder. And if I leave, provided I don't come back to college football, if I leave, what are they going to do to me?
He did it for the school in the first place, and then leaving, he's doing it for the school. So they could heap all the blame on him, and the school will not get as many repercussions.
I mean, I don't know if old Jimbo's fallen on the sword for Michigan or not. I know it certainly works out that way for them. The coaches who were involved under him have a show cause. The ones who have left Michigan are going to find it a little more difficult to find a job down the line.
Right,
They'll probably have to go to a lower level school if they want to.
Is this a closed door meeting where, Jim, thank you for bringing a national championship to us, for getting us back on the map, for helping us beat Ohio State, a couple of times. But
thanks for helping us convince Alonzo to fire Ryan Day.
But you're going to have to step away.
No, I mean, maybe that conversation took place, but I also think this is a Harbaugh decision, because let's be real. We've done this, we've talked about this. There are, in all of collegiate football, there are 3 active coaches that have a national championship? Kirby Smart, Dabo Swinney, or is it just 2 now? Because Jimbo's out, Saban's out. Is it just those 2? Who am I blanking on? I thought there was one more. Either way, the point is, I don't need all the fingers on one hand to count the number of coaches that would be active that have won a natty. I am willing to bet that a school like a Michigan would absolutely say we are willing to have success be a little bit more difficult, to have in the fold one of less than a handful, literally, of coaches in college football that have a national championship.
Well, I don't think that's accurate. That says Mac Brown. Is Mac Brown still
Yes, he is,
coaching?
North Carolina. That's who the third one is.
All right.
That is correct. Mac Brown at North Carolina. So you have three in all of college football. You have three active coaches that have won a natty, and one of those was from years ago. Mac Brown's not exactly in the forefront anymore.
It was with Texas?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So Mac Brown, Kirby Smart, Dabo Sweeney, the only active coaches with the national championship right now. I suspect if I am Michigan, I am willing to overlook the behavior of and overlook the restrictions placed upon Jim Harbaugh to keep the one of, if he was still active, 4 head coaches in America that have a national championship ring to their name. I think Harbaugh won it out. I don't know if it's because of A, he just wants to be an NFL guy and he wants that Super Bowl ring, or B, because he looked down the pipe of this punishment when my job's about to suck more and I don't want to deal with that, or a combination of both.
All I got to say, you got to one out pretty bad to go to the AFC West.
I think my guy looked at Justin Herbert and said, there's a quarterback who's got a ton of talent, a ton of ability, and has been led into mediocrity by an embarrassing coaching staff. I can fix that. I can handle that. And you say that, so let's talk about it for real. It is not that you got to be gutsy to go play in the West. It is only the Chiefs. That's it. It is the Chiefs, not the AFC West.
You can look at that in the AFC period and maybe in the NFL.
I mean, I certainly think there are other teams
They're
in the
probably
AFC.
they're probably heading for a down year, but for right now, they're 2-time, back-to-back champs.
Oh, for sure. Listen, I'm not saying it's
and how many teams in the AFC West have restructured how they do things, have gotten faster, they've all these things. As you do, whoever's on the top, you try to gear your team towards taking that team down. It just hasn't worked yet. I'm just saying you got to one out of somewhere pretty bad to go somewhere, unless the challenge is that important to him, and maybe it is.
I mean, maybe it is. I think you've got to look at the fact that, as you mentioned, you're in that division, yes. But as much as my dear friend and Saturday co-host Cody Decker wants me to believe that the Raiders, if they snag a quarterback, are going to hit the turnaround here, they're not there yet. They're not. The Denver Broncos are going to be, I'm sorry to say, a big bag of this year. Again, it's the Raiders. In fact, I would even make the argument. So we've talked a little bit about this in the land of baseball. The NL Central has no great teams in it, but it's got 5 good teams. It is going to be the most competitive division in Major League Baseball this year. But I don't think there's a genuine World Series contender anywhere in it. The AFC West is the exact opposite. There is absolutely a bona fide NFL championship contender in it, the Chiefs, but outside of that, it's a butt division. It's it. It's the definition of top heavy. All the weights in Kansas City. But I think Jimbo is probably looking and going, all right, we lost a couple of good wide receivers here, but I've got Herbert, who's got the potential to be very good. We lost our 2 wide receivers. We lost Austin Eckler, but we got good draft positioning now. I got a quarterback that most people consider to be held back by the team, not the other way around. Like, it makes sense for him to pick that team to go to. And, oh, by the way, if nothing else, he gets to live in Los Angeles, California, a beautiful place to live.
In an RV down by the ocean.
I'm going to tell you right now.
There's video, by the way, if you get a chance, of him showing the inside of the RV and everything.
Just so we're clear.
He's not slumming it.
Just so we're clear, that sounds incredible.
It does.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Sounds incredible.
But you have to empty your own stuff, as a la Uncle Eddie.
I've done it before. You put a pipe into the ground and then it just does it. It's not like you got to get a bucket and some gloves. All right. You put a pipe in the ground, you flip a switch, it evacuates, and you're good. You're good to go.
Evacuate is such a good word.
Of all of the faults of one Jim Harborough, going to LA and living on the beach in an RV is not one I'm going to ding him up for. But yeah, I absolutely think there is some element to the belief that Jim Harbaugh knows that there is, what a moment in time to use this expression, some crap coming down the pipe at Michigan, much like his RV after a solid night at Taco Bell. And he wasn't going to sit there and go through that. He wasn't going to sit there and go through that. Why would he make his life that much more difficult when there are NFL teams? By the way, remember when all this was going down, Roger Goodell and the NFL came out and they were like, oh, we're not going to be the escape valve for Jim Harbaugh. If there's some bad stuff going down in Michigan, he doesn't get to just come here and get away from it all, except for, yeah, he totally did that.
It's funny because the video just popped up as we talked about it. And he says, nothing makes you feel more like a dad than disposing waste. And he's actually motioning, showing, plugging the hose in.
Yeah, me and the La Familia took an RV trip around the country one time, and that for some reason that fell into Rob's vacation responsibilities. Was every time we hooked the RV up at the camp, get the poop chute, plug it into the ground, and evacuate its contents.
I hope your brother laughed at you every time you had to do that.
I have no doubt. Texture said Rob is being way too nice. He wanted out because he knew all the shady crap he had done would come out. Oh, yeah, no, I agree. I think that's exactly why he left.
Shady crap.
I'm going to call it crap for forever.
No, because it's like leaving. Anyway.
Yeah. No, it's just going to be crap forever.
Crap forever.
Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Lee, to answer your question, I have not seen anything about Ronnie's knee from last night. We mentioned earlier in the show, obviously, Ozzy Albies is going to be down for at least a couple of weeks with a broken toe after the HBP. All right, I'm going to step away for 45 seconds. You guys stay there. We'll be right back. There is a video from Disney Star Wars Land where where somebody dressed their kid up as an Ewok. And he walked up to some stormtroopers, and the stormtroopers start panicking, and they run away from the kid. That's hysterical.
Dependable guidance you need and service you'll appreciate. At Home Trust Bank, we take your small business banking personally. Visit your local Home Trust branch.
Well, they should, because the Ewoks have scoreboard on them.
Scoreboard.
Free. Who doesn't love free? With Milo's Rewards, you get the member-only treatment that's actually worth it. Enjoy free member gifts you'll love. And once you reach Silver Key status, you can get free standard shipping. Because Lowe's knows nothing feels better than free. Learn more about our new loyalty program at Lowes.com/MyLowe's today. Program subject to terms and conditions. See Lowes.com/terms for details. Member gifts may be subject to additional terms and restrictions. See Lowes.com/shipping terms for details. Subject to change.
From the Ingles Market Studio.
Punch your ticket to the best local sports. Rise and shine, sports fans. Coffee and Celtic Sports from Brown
Wrapping up the second hour of the Rob Brown Show, coming up in hour number 3. RG3 had some comments about a young man he believes will be the steal of the 2024 draft. And there's a bunch of us who agree with him. It may pique your interest. We are going to get to that. Colorado was very, very hype about the future under Deion Sanders. Well, there's two very interesting things going on. First, a post put up by one of the Sanders boys out there in Boulder. And second, Colorado was hyping how attendance is through the roof, how attendance is this, that, and the other. Colorado is going to be playing in front of a quarter-full stadium in their spring game because the hype hath died down around the Buffaloes. I want to talk about what that means about college football. We'll get some draft talk in here because there is one position on the football field that is being largely ignored despite its return to prominence in certain offenses over the last couple of years. I want to talk about that. CJ Stroud had some comments about the future of one Marvin Harrison Jr. in the league. I'd like to get to those. And a new proposal for NIL guidelines that would shape the way that schools are able to involve themselves in the NIL landscape. Plus, the transfer portal window opened yesterday. We are now just about 24 hours into players being able to declare officially themselves in the transfer portal. So, who jumped in? Who jumped out? Who's on the move? And who is Shane Beamer targeting in the portal? We will answer all of those questions and more. That's a perfect spot for that clip. That's why Lonzo's the executive producer. You know what else Lonzo is? He is an anchor. He's like Anchor Man, but funnier. That's why he does the Sports Flash.
Yeah, and here's this thing where I'm going to read this story every time because I want to. The Golden State Warriors got outscored 31-22 in the first quarter by Sacramento, and we're never able to fight back as they were eliminated from the playoffs by the Kings. 118-94. Keegan Murray went 8 of 13 from deep for 32, while De'Aaron Fox added 24. Steph Curry led all Warriors with 22 on 8 of 16 from range. Klay Thompson had a forgettable night, shooting 0 for 10. In tonight's Eastern Conference play-in tournament, the Philadelphia 76ers might have 2023 MVP Joel Embiid, but the team has officially listed him as questionable. So we don't know if he's going to be on there or not for the matchup with the Miami Heat. Embiid has played 5 times since his return from injury. Make sure you tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 for our brand new show, Wire to Wire with Cole Bryson and Diesel, 3 to 7 p.m. Tell us about the Cordell and Cordell Jam Cam.
239,000 miles from home, and there's a problem. We'll discuss as we take a bite out of history with Eagles Market. It was the seventh crewed mission in the Apollo space program and would have been the third trek to the moon. 3 astronauts blasted off from Cape Canaveral on April 11th, 1970. To some, this sort of thing was becoming routine, but with the flip of a switch, it would become anything but routine. Jim Lovell, Fred Hayes, and Jack Swigert were instantly thrust into a fight for their lives after an exposed wire sparked near an oxygen tank, causing an explosion. The men were forced from the space capsule and had to use the lunar module as a life raft. With less battery power than they needed, an environment quickly filling up with carbon dioxide, and a broken spacecraft, the 3 astronauts, with the assist of many scientists and engineers in NASA, were able to lift the spacecraft back to Earth. Apollo 13 was a successful splashdown on April 17, 1970. Made famous by Hollywood, Jim Lovell, played by Tom Hanks, never said, "Houston, we have a problem." Jack Swigert, played by Kevin Bacon, said, "Houston, we've had a problem here." This has been a bite out of history with Eagles Market. Want to get in on some round one draft day fun? Head out to David Buster's on Woodruff Road for a jam-packed live show. With me, Diesel. And me, Cole Bryce, from the Fan Upstate's Wire to Wire. Next Thursday from 3 to 7 p.m. Don't miss the big draft day kickoff party at David Buster's. Look, game day headquarters.
At Odyssey, we help protect this planet we all share through our One Thing sustainability initiatives. We donate $1 million of media every year to local environmental nonprofit organizations. And this month, our Odyssey teams will be out in our local communities cleaning up, planting trees, and more. When we each do one thing, it becomes 100, 1,000, a million things for our planet. What's your one thing? For more, download the free Odyssey app or go to odyssey.com.
What time is Mario on?
9 o'clock.
Good.
Get from one and done, you want for your dog's monthly protection. NexGuard Plus, a Boxolon or Moxidectin and Pyrantel chewable tablets. Protects against fleas, ticks, heartworm disease, roundworms, and hookworms. All in one delicious, beef-flavored soft chew. Used with caution in dogs with a history of seizures or neurologic disorders. Dogs should be tested for existing heartworm infection prior to starting a preventive. Ask your vet about NexGuard Plus chews.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Gabby. Hey, Gabby. It's Jennifer Coolidge. Hi. I'm so
Did you ever watch the next episode of X-Men?
I did. I finished it.
Anyone with a Discover card can call and talk to a real person. Now, how can I help? Yeah, I use my Discover card to buy these yellow pleather pajamas.
The first.
And I'm just not sure.
It's not real, man. It's not real. Cable's a time traveler. He can go back and fix it.
Depiction of my favorite character, and they do that.
It's not real. Don't believe it.
I want that to be correct.
I know there's a new episode out today, or was out yesterday, so I haven't watched it yet. But I believe, Cable realized he came to the wrong time, so he's going to go back and fix it.
I very much hope you are correct, because I am going to be sick if the first depiction of my favorite X-Man in years goes that way.
I did think of you when I watched this, like, oh, Rob is going to hate this.
Heartbroken.
General manager Tyson Jeffers. Tyson, welcome in, buddy. Thanks for taking a few minutes. Glad to have you, pal. Of course. Good morning, Rob. Tyson, listen, I'm just a loud guy with a microphone, but I get to play the role of investigative journalist. Are you going to drop a hint on the name? It is the question I'm being asked more than anything else.
Yeah, and it's going to be something that I'm going to hold firm on and not allow anything to. There's always it's the best kept secret. I don't want that to be the case here. I want when it's dropped. That's the first time anyone.
May 11th, by the way, is when it drops.
So we couldn't say, is it a bird? Is it a land animal? Is it an inanimate object? We couldn't ask you that.
I would not give you any hints, or I try not to.
Don't hit snooze, hit play. The Rob Brown Show, now morning 6 to 10 on The Fan.
The Fan Upstate.
The Fan.
Upstate.
WYRD Lingo.
WORD Spartanburg.
WFBC HD Greenville.
W249 DL Greenville.
They won't be on that couch for long, James, because some of them are going to be changing venues.
Old Clay. Chance to earn a few milli on the new contract, and he 0 for 10 in a playoff game. Wolf. And away we go, ladies and gentlemen, with the third hour of the Rob Brown radio program. Right here on the Fan Upstate. Robin the Great with Lonzo with you. Here on the show. 844-326-3663. 844-FANFONE. That is the number to the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone. The text line is open at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the air. You can tweet me at The Rob Brown Show. You can tweet Lonzo at Lonzo on Word. You can tweet us all at The Fan Upstate. Robert Griffin III. How you feel about RG3? He's like really, like I've really turned into an RG3 fan.
He is. I don't agree with everything he says, but a lot of it I do.
I don't agree with everything he says, but I find myself enjoying him as a broadcaster.
He's doing his job. He's doing what he's supposed to do and being entertaining enough to where he's being mentioned on occasion.
I agree.
When after his football career, did you think he'd be relevant?
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't know where he was going to go. I didn't know if if he got into broadcasting, what he was going to bring to the table. But what I can say is that he has grown on me quite a bit as of late. Well, RG3 decided to chime in, as he should, on the NFL draft.
By the way, big time wrestling fan.
Big time wrestling guy.
So, yeah.
Big fan of that too. RG3 decided to chime in on the NFL draft, and he got asked specifically who he thought the steal of the draft was going to be.
For the quarterback position, I think the steal of the draft is going to be Spencer Rattler. When you turn on this man's tape, he has arm talent out the wazoo. Go watch any of his games, but specifically go watch the Florida game and watch him make big throw after big throw. Like, he never complained about the offensive line being leaky. He just found ways to make plays and get the ball to Xavier Legette, a guy that was at Oklahoma, was there because he was a big-time recruit as a five-star player, who has the arm talent, who has the accuracy, who has the pre-snap and post-snap ability, and played in a system at South Carolina that forced him to make those craved and wanted for three-level throws that they use in the NFL off of play action. He is showing teams that the player that he was coming out of high school is actually going to translate better to him being a better pro quarterback than he ever was a college quarterback.
Anybody disagree with that? Scratch that. I know some of y'all are going to disagree with that. I suspect the majority of people who are going to disagree with that are going to be wearing orange. I don't disagree with any of it. I don't disagree with any of it. I think RG3 is on point here.
All right. You talk about ceilings a lot.
I do.
Especially when it comes to quarterbacks. Is Spencer Rattler a starter in the NFL?
I don't think he is out of the gate. And I'll tell you why. He got beat out at Oklahoma. He transfers out. There's a lot of people who want to dress that up as a character flaw. I don't think it was. You've got to keep in mind the context under which Spencer Rattler left.
There were some maturity issues, though.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that. It turns out, and this is true, sometimes, great one, 19-year-olds aren't exactly the most mature people on planet Earth.
Girl.
Shocking, I know. Sometimes, and I am living proof of this, sometimes 19-year-olds are, what's the word I'm looking for here? Idiots. But I would also point out that while there were some questions about maturity, and I've made this statement before, and I'll stick with it, a lot of that's on us as a society. We live in a society. A lot of that's on us because it turns out.
Well, you should be a better village then, Rob.
It turns out, and this is also true, that if you create a world where we hold athletes in these incredibly vaunted opinions, right? Like we look at athletes, and again, I can say this. I went to high school with a kid that it was very obvious from the rip that this guy was going to be an incredible athlete. This guy was going to be a top-notch college ball wide receiver. And I watched this guy get away with everything during his high school career. He was on the basketball team with me. My basketball team went to the state championships the night before the finals on our zero tolerance policy team. This kid, along with a couple of others, got caught smoking the reefer in the team hotel. Do you want to know what his punishment was? He had to run 5 suicides, and then he got to play. On the same team.
Suicides ain't no joke, and I'm guessing if you're under the influence of something, it probably makes them a little more difficult.
I'm sure. But the rest of the team, let me put it this way. That same season, as a gag, because Rob Brown has always been hilarious. As a gag in high school for a game, I went and had cornrows put in my hair, right? Like me and the black guys on the team, like they thought it was going to be the funniest thing in the world. And obviously being an idiot, I was like, yeah, this is going to be great.
Cultural appropriation. I can't believe you.
It was encouraged.
So disappointed.
My family, before every basketball game, my mom and dad would cook a big meal at the house, and all the guys would come to the house, and we would all just hang out as a team before every game. Everybody after school would come to the Brown household. The madre would cook up a big tray of lasagna or whatever. We'd all carb load together, play some video games, whatever, and then we would all go together. It was incredible team building. Got very close with these guys. And one of them one time was like, at senior year high school, the hair was a little bit longer. He's like, Rob Brown, you should do cornrows, because all the guys did cornrows together. I was like, yeah, screw it. And the coach wouldn't let me play that day because I did cornrows in my hair. That's the zero tolerance on our team. Even dumb stuff. This kid, 5 suicides for getting caught smoking the reefer, got to play. We take these athletes that are coming out of high school when we know specifically that they're going to be great athletes, and we celebrate them in a way that they don't really ever learn what real life is. And what's the reason for them to do that, right? Why would they? So no, I don't get shocked or surprised when a future star sometimes acts like a big dummy. It doesn't shock me. It shouldn't shock any of you. So I'm not uber concerned about the maturity issues that were shown by one Spencer Rattler. It is unsurprising. But the context under which he left Oklahoma, who was on that team? Do any of you remember? I'm sure that many of you do. It was a young man by the name of Caleb Williams. Of course, Caleb Williams, who at the time, this is before Lincoln Riley left to go out west to California and take over as the head man at SC. This dude was expected to be there for a very long time and be a damn good quarterback. So Spence went, I'm never going to play here. I'm out. And he left. Now, he goes to Columbia, and I will tell you, as somebody who obviously at least tries to keep finger on the pulse, this guy was beloved by the Gamecock faithful in Columbia. Apparently, was just a stellar bro during his time in Columbia, South Carolina. So if there were maturity issues, and obviously I'm still hearing criticisms that, yes, Rob, there absolutely were. If that is true, he seemed to shake them once he got to Columbia, South Carolina. So let's look at Spencer Rattler, the player of the football. I agree with RG3. What doesn't the guy bring to the table? What doesn't the guy do and do well? There's not really any throws that he can't make. There's not really any spots on the field where it looks like he's uncomfortable. There's not really any positions that he can throw or any balls he can't really throw. And then there's the criticism, because it is the maturity and the lack of leadership. That's been the biggest knock on Spencer Rattler. Lonzo Spence was here in our market for 2 seasons as the starter of the Gamecocks. Can you, in the 2 years that dude was here, can you think of a point in time where you or I or Mark or Diesel or Cole or anybody criticized Spencer Rattler for a lack of leadership or shifting the blame or showing his butt on the sideline? Because I can't.
I can't think of either, and there has been a history of Gamecock quarterbacks getting in trouble at 5 points and other things. I don't recall him getting in trouble for anything either.
I don't either.
Which is what you would think someone who's labeled as immature would have some of those things on their record.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, in retrospect, and again, it is in retrospect, but in retrospect, I am truly having a difficult time remembering a spot where we came in here on a Monday and went, OMG, I can't believe that Spence showed his butt like that. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying I have a hard time remembering it. This dude, there's very little in his game that I think can't be fixed. There are some things. The decision-making probably needs to be a little bit faster. I think there is a probably good chance that Spencer Rattler got a little bit comfortable in knowing that he could fall back on the old Xavier's down there somewhere offense. I think that, and this is absolutely a danger for many college football quarterbacks. They end up getting to a spot where they are very comfortable looking at wide receiver X and going, bleep it, he down there somewhere. My guy is down there somewhere. I'm going to him and just throwing it out there. That's something you have got to get rid of before you get to the NFL, because that style of offense will not work at the next level. And if that is the case, which again, I absolutely think that there is a possibility that it is. If that is the case, that has to get shooketh. That can't be allowed to stand. That offense, that style of offense will not work at the next level. So if he got real comfortable falling on that, if he got real comfortable with the concept of, I'll just throw it down there and let great players make great plays, yeah, I'm going to need him to work on that. But that's something that can be worked on. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be most excellent at it, but it means it is something that we can at least be working on. I don't think there is a throw that I don't believe Spencer Rattler can make. I don't believe there's a spot on the field that he's weakest at. He's got good legs underneath him. I mean, he's not Lamar, he's not Jaden Daniels, but he's got good legs underneath him that he can utilize to make plays when he needs to. Again, Spencer Rattler has got a ton of potential. To answer Lonzo's question, do I think he is a day one starter? No, I do not. I do not think he is showing up and making a week one start in his rookie year. I think he is going to take more polish than Caleb Williams. I think he's going to take more polish than Jaden Daniels. But I would also make the argument Jaden Daniels was the QB of a pro-style offense that had not one, but 2 wide receivers who are going to be top 10 NFL draft picks. Both of the LSU wide receivers are gone in the top 10. I would make the argument that Caleb Williams was quarterbacking for USC underneath Lincoln Riley, a guy who, again, runs a very pro-style set. So he's got some of that experience. I say this with all due respect to the Gamecocks. The offense that was being run last year under Spencer Rattler, I do not think was the best offense for him to get NFL ready. It just wasn't. He did not have the talent around him to get him prepared for what an NFL offense might feel like. Again, you had Xavier, but outside of that, I don't think that Spencer necessarily had the best possibility of developing as a player. Because again, let's call it what it is, as was brought up there by RG3. The offensive line of the Gamecocks was, what did he call it? Leaky? I think leaky is a complimentary way of putting it. If we're trying to keep it a buck here, that's a complimentary way to put it. I don't think that Spencer Rattler really had the opportunity to figure out what it's like to stand behind a good offensive line, to set your feet, to find your target, to go through your progressions and to make the right throw, which also, again, hampered his ability to develop in that aspect of the football field. These are all things that, depending on the team he goes to at the next level, he will have the opportunity to grow and develop that aspect of his game. I have been saying for a minute now that I think whatever team ends up bringing in Spencer Rattler is going to have a project ahead of them. Let's call a spade here. It is going to take some development time. But I think if there is a guy that I would say is a project I'm willing to invest in, it's Spencer Rattler. Absolutely am.
Shane on the stream says with Spencer Rattler's offensive line, you have to think he has courage.
It's not unfair. It's really not unfair.
He does. I mean, when he had time, he looked accurate. He looked like he made good decisions. So if he goes to the right team, and chances are he's going to be drafted a little bit later, so he might end up on a pretty good team. He's going to get some experience of what it's like to be protected, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking down the quarterback rankings right now, and I'm curious as to where we would slot Spencer Rattler. Here's Pro Football Focus's list. Here's their rankings. By the way, the Rob Brown mock draft will be Monday, Tuesday next week. They have Caleb Williams at number 1. I don't think so. I still think Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in this class, but I also understand why a lot of other people don't feel that way. They got Caleb as 1. They've got Drake May as 2. Let me be real clear. I don't agree with that one at all. Okay? I think Drake May is a dude that's got arm talent that makes him look very good. I think he's a dude that has got the physical build that makes him look very good, but I do not see Drake May as like a game-changing NFL quarterback, unfortunately. I think he's got the potential to be pretty good. I don't see him as a guy that in a couple of years we're all looking going, how did he slip to that spot?
See, I don't see any of these guys as being game-changing, but we'll see.
They got Jaden Daniels at 3. They've got J.J. McCarthy as 4. Speaking of laugh, I got a message yesterday from our buddy Chris Lewis, president of the Greenville Triumph and noted New York Giants fan. He said, paraphrasing but very close, Rob Brown, I'm telling you right now, if this is how it goes, I am out as a fan next season, because there are multiple mock drafts right now that have the New York Football Giants selecting J.J. McCarthy with the number 5 overall pick. He's like, dude, if that's the direction we go, I am bleeping out as a fan next year. I cannot imagine a world in which I'm good with that. And frankly, I get it, man. Frankly, I get it. That would be depressing to say the least, I think, if you're a Giants fan. They got J.J. McCarthy as 4. They got Bo Nix as 5. No issue with that. Again, he's a captain check down player, and I do get concerned about the role of a captain check down player for sure. But he can make the throws. I don't trust his deep ball as much as anything else. I would also argue he's a little bit older Not as older as Michael Penix Jr., who they have at number 6. I actually would have Michael Penix Jr. slotted ahead of both Bo Nix and J.J. McCarthy. The biggest problem with Michael Penix Jr. is that the footwork is not perfect. And same with Jaden Daniels. He was kind of able to lean on one of the best wide receiver cores in the country. I think that Michael Penix, and the fact that he's going to be 26 when the season kicks off, meaning you don't have as long with him as a franchise guy playing his style of game as you'd like. They've got Spencer Rattler at number 7. Here's the write-up they have for Spence. Rattler has a mature game with fundamentals and pocket presence in addition to good accuracy in and out of structure. His arm is adequate, but he needs to continue to improve at seeing additional coverage defenders post-snap. He projects as a day 2 QB with starting potential. So I'm actually really fine with that write-up. I'm actually really good with that write-up.
Well, part of the problems about him reading defenses was he didn't have time to.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. So, but it is an apt description. And again, hopefully he ends up on a pretty good team, which he has the chance to, and is able to develop.
I would agree with that. I think the concept of having a subpar arm is absolutely a reality that Spencer's going to have to deal with. And I think, unfortunately for Spencer Rattler, that is going to be the primary criticism and critique of his game transitioning to the next level, is that there have been spots where it does not look like his arm strength necessarily translates to the next level. It certainly does not mean that it does not. It's just that there are fairly question marks about it. But I would also agree with what Zoe said in the second half of that breakdown, which is very simply that my guy was playing in a system where he just did not get a ton of time. He was being harassed constantly. He was under the gun constantly. And I don't mean the shotgun. I mean constantly under a ton of pressure and never really got the opportunity to sit and consistently read, diagnose, and execute against defenses.
All right. Andrew on the stream says, I really don't understand this draft. You have a generational talent in Marvin Harrison Jr. I would take him number 1. I agree with you. I mean, but I think it comes down to the team at number 1 apparently believed that the quarterback position is more important.
What's the most important position in the National Football League? It's quarterback. That's not a. Let me clear this up. That's not a conversation.
They had a quarterback that would have worked fine with Marvin Harrison Jr. But maybe I'm a little salty because of that. But I think they jumped off and got away from him way too fast.
I don't disagree that Justin Fields may still end up translating. I think him ending up in Baltimore in Pittsburgh is a phenomenal landing spot for Justin Fields. And
the problems that Chicago has are not just quarterback related. So they're just replacing someone who might be mid their entire career with someone who might be mid or below.
I am willing to say that if you ask me right now to pick one of the two to build my franchise around, I'm going with Caleb Williams. I just am. It doesn't mean Justin Fields is going to be bad. I just think Caleb Williams is, let's pick this up on the other side. I want to talk more. We're a week away from the draft. A week and a day. Shut up. Let's talk more NFL draft at the quarterback spot when we come back. Rob Alonso and you with the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, another quick live read, then we're coming right back. Y'all stay right there, and we'll talk more QB.
honestly, to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the one.
Time of day.
What's that?
Time of day. Pick a spot.
Call clickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
If you're building and ready to replace any of your home furnishings, now's the time. During our spring savings sale at Jeff Lynch, lowest prices guaranteed on the best brands of French door refrigerators. Sealy's Crown Jewel Queen mattress, now only $97. Beautiful Revolution fabric sectional, now only $978. $300.
We are not going to be anywhere live for the draft, but on night one next Thursday, Wire to Wire will be at Dave & Buster's, and I will be going there to sit in with them, hang out with them, talk draft with them. So Wire to Wire next Thursday, live at Dave & Buster's during their regular time, 3 to 7. And then I will probably more than likely stick around for the draft after that.
Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Yes, sir. You know how we roll.
Yeah, I can't go anywhere because of death threats.
Death threats.
All right, not death threats.
Dramatic.
It's okay to like I'll beat your face in if you show up. I mean, which could lead to death if your face is beat in, if you can't breathe. Nah, I wasn't invited, so I'm not going. But if I was invited, I still wouldn't go. But everyone likes to be invited whether they go or not. I still may show up, stroll in, say hi, and then just leave. Or I show up in school robbing something, and then I leave.
Mark Ryan's gone, and now I have a new arcade nemesis.
I was told if he got hurt while we were playing air hockey that I would be in trouble, so I had to back off.
How would you be in trouble if he got hurt playing air hockey? How would he get hurt playing air hockey? Let's start with the obvious.
It's hockey, man. Things happen.
So we're talking quarterbacks at the National Football League draft, which is 1 week and 1 day away. And I do want to go ahead and get you set on your calendar. Next Thursday, Wire to Wire with Cole Bryson and Diesel will be live at Dave & Buster's in Greenville for the first night of the NFL draft. And your boy, Rob Brown, will be there because, of course, I need to go provide some guidance, some positivity to the show. So I will be there. We will be talking NFL draft and who knows what else we're going to get into. I very much look forward to that. It's going to be a good time had by all. So make sure you come on out to the to Wire to Wire live at Dave & Buster's next Thursday night for night one of the NFL draft. It is going to be a fantastic time. We are talking quarterbacks in the NFL draft right now. And we were talking about the Chicago Bears, who in one way kind of control this draft to some degree, because what they decide to do at one is going to have a massive impact, obviously, on what happens down the line. At this point, it is almost a given that they're going Caleb Williams. I mean, it was almost a given they were going Caleb Williams when they picked up or when they sent Justin Fields out over to Pittsburgh. And the fact that they allowed him to basically pick his spot And reports are that they passed up better offers from other teams in order to send him to Pittsburgh. It shows that they know, they feel they might be giving up on the guy just a little easier, just a little early. And I will say that I do agree with that. I do think they are giving up on the guy a little early. I think a lot of what went wrong can be contributed to Matt Eberflus, to Ryan Poles, and it's not really Ryan Poles because he's relatively new as the GM there. What I will say is, if you ask me right now today, based on what I've seen out of Justin Fields, which of those two I would rather have to build a franchise around, I've got to go with Caleb Williams.
Why do you have to?
Caleb Williams,
let me rephrase this. So you already know what you get with Justin Fields in the NFL. What makes you think Caleb Williams is going to be better?
it's not that I know he's going to be better. It's that there's a chance he's going to be better.
So the situation is improved in Chicago to a degree that he's going to be better.
I think Caleb Williams is a quarterback that is more appropriately built for the NFL. I think he can do everything with the legs that Justin Fields can do, but better. And I think he's got a bigger arm. Now, as far as the decision-making process and all that, we'll see what happens at the next level.
By the way, Justin Fields was a better passer in college football and probably better than Caleb Williams in college football. He didn't start developing his running until he got to the NFL, and he had no choice.
I am not willing to go down that road that far with you. I think that Justin Fields had the benefit of some stellar skill position players.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Does that count for nothing?
Well, apparently it matters most when you're trying to put someone down.
No, it doesn't. I literally think Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in this draft and literally knocked him earlier that he had 2 NFL top 10 picks as wide receivers. And that's why I think some people are devaluing him. And I accept that as an argument.
Caleb Williams didn't have any talent where he played.
Hang on. Let me rewind this 8 seconds. I'm not knocking Justin Fields. Saying Patrick Mahomes is better than Lamar Jackson isn't a knock on Lamar Jackson. It's just that's how good this guy looks like he's going to be. I don't think Caleb Williams is going to be an all-time NFL quarterback. But in terms of just the build and the physical abilities, he's got more of them than Justin Fields does. He is bigger, he is stronger, he is faster, and he's got a cannon of an arm. All things he's got an edge on Justin Fields. That's not a knock on Justin Fields. Raising someone up is not the same as knocking someone else down. I also quite literally just said, I think the Bears gave up on Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields can go to Pittsburgh and be a fantastic quarterback. I think the system, the situation for him in Pittsburgh is the best he could have asked for. I think it made perfect sense that he went there. I think Justin Fields can be a good quarterback. I think the knock on Caleb Williams is primarily twofold. Number one, he did not have the successful season at SC that everybody thought he was going to have. But the one place I'm not putting that on is on Caleb Williams. Number two, I think there are a lot of people who are looking at the painted nails and the pink phone case and going, that means he can't succeed. He ain't man enough to do it.
Yeah, I don't care about all that. All I know is that I do believe you're wrong. I don't think he's a better quarterback than Justin Fields, especially comparatively, because you've got to compare their college careers, and Justin Fields is better. He just is. Chicago made a mistake by letting Justin Fields go. And the one thing they're going to do is they're either going to stay where they were or they're going to get worse. Are they going to improve? Is their record going to be better by bringing in Caleb Williams?
Yes.
No way.
But it's not just Caleb. It's not just Caleb Williams. There are other variables here. This is why the damn motto of this show ought to be nuance matters. Like, I swear the most frustrating thing in sports media to me is everybody trying to make an issue X or Y, and there are no other options. Oh, if Caleb is the record better because Caleb Williams is there? No, the record is better because they have added DeAndre Swift, because they've got DJ Moore for a full season, because they are stacked with draft picks in this draft. They are going to have not just DJ Moore, but I'm relatively convinced at this point they're going to end up with one of those first-round wide receivers with their second pick. They're going to add across from DJ Moore a Roma Dunze or a the other kid. What's the other kid? Brian Thomas out of LSU. They are going to have one of the best skill sets around Caleb Williams. Is that unfair to Justin Fields? You're damn right it is.
Just to me, it's a mistake. You go with Marvin Harrison Jr., you take care of other stuff, and then if you want another quarterback, you get it next year. You talk about having a great receiver next to a great receiver. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the way they should have went.
I don't disagree. Here's the reality. I understand. I'm not saying your opinion's wrong, and I understand this is an appeal to authority, which is a logical fallacy that I preach against all the time. But the reality is, dude, 95% of draft scouts believe Caleb Williams is the best quarterback in the draft. For the record, I also disagree with them. I think it's Jaden Daniels. But I would also make the argument that the overwhelming majority of people who analyze this stuff believe Caleb Williams has more physical properties. I don't know yet what he's going to be at the NFL level. But if I'm just looking at the build and the capabilities, Caleb Williams is more built to be a prototype NFL quarterback. Doesn't mean he will be. Just means if I got to roll the dice, because here's the other side of the argument here. The other side of the argument here is, yes, Chicago's been bad as an organization. I don't understand why we're sticking with Matt Eberflus. He won a couple of games at the end of the year after Chicago was already out of it. Big freaking whoop. I get all of that. But the other side of the equation here is Eberflus is fighting for his job. I don't think Ryan Poles is fighting for his job, but if the team tanks this year, he will be. He is fighting the hot seat of going on the hot seat. There are a lot of people in Chicago that if this year is a failure for the Bears, will be either out of or fighting for their job right now. And as I said earlier, if you went gun to head and maybe pick one of these two guys to build my team around for 1 year of success, everything in the build says Caleb Williams is the right pick, because the Bears have been bad. With the exception of the last 5 games of last year, name me a stretch of games where Justin Fields, you went, that guy's the future, everybody else is the problem. Because there was never a point where he really shined. That's not there. Justin Herbert has had stretches where even on a bad Charger team, he has shined. His talent has been unavoidable, incontrovertible. There are good quarterbacks on bad teams where they shine through. Has Justin Fields shined through where you went, that guy's not the problem?
Here's what, to me, Chicago is doing. They're putting a Band-Aid over a huge wound by doing the one thing that a lot of teams do. I know, we'll just get a new quarterback. When the problems are all over the place, and they can fix those problems first and then get another quarterback down the line who's actually better than the one that's going to end up getting.
Again, I for the record, I am on board with you that I do not believe Caleb Williams is the generational superstar that he's being made out to be. Pro Football Focus is right up, ends with, quote, "This is a quarterback with franchise-changing talent that is worthy of a number 1 overall selection." Again, I'm riding with Jaden Daniels as the guy with that description at the next level. And I may very well eat crow on either or both of these guys once they get into the show. All I'm saying is, I think Justin Fields is fine. I think he's fine. And I think he's got potential to be good. I'm very excited for him in Pittsburgh. The pressure is off of him. Russell Wilson's going to take all the heat out of the gate. And Russell Wilson can, whether it is by mentoring or just by being in the same building, teach him how to play a very similar style of quarterback that Russell Wilson played during his time. And if things go bad for Russell Wilson, Justin Fields can step in and try to fix the issue. And if things go great for Russell Wilson, he's going to leave next year for a bigger contract elsewhere. And Justin Fields will have had a year that he probably needed as a rookie to sit down and learn. And I think that's going to be immensely valuable. I think he can be good. But looking at just the physical aspects of this guy, Caleb Williams is more built to be an NFL quarterback. I'm not even saying you're wrong. I'm saying I understand Chicago's desire because you're right. There's a lot of problems that can be fixed. But here's the thing. As good as Marvin Harrison Jr. is, and I agree he's the best receiver in this class, I do not think he is heads and shoulders above Malik Neighbors. I think Malik's right in that back pocket with Marvin Harrison Jr. I think that Brian Thomas and Roma Dunze are right in the back pocket of Malik Neighbors. I think there are 4, maybe 5 wide receivers in this draft, all within the same box of potential. And I think Caleb Williams is that much further ahead of Justin Fields as a prospect.
And there's a shot that those receivers that you're talking about will still be in the NFL 4 or 5 years from now, and some of these quarterbacks will not.
There's also a shot that none of these wide receivers in the league and all of these quarterbacks in the NFL, you can't utilize. There's a shot they wash out as a reason not to draft a guy that is a built prospect, and Caleb Williams is. He is. All right, let's take a break. I want some of your thoughts. Where are y'all falling on this? We got a couple of texts that have come into the show, a couple of comments on the live stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate or on YouTube at The Fan Upstate. We'll address them when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on The Fan Upstate.
Clemson beat Charlotte 8-5. Number 7 Duke with a 2-1 win over Gardner-Webb. Number 19 Coastal Carolina beat number 11 North Carolina 5-4. Number 12 Wake Forest fell 8-5 at home against UNC Wilmington. Number 20 South Carolina 4-3 winners at the Citadel. The Braves beat the Astros 6-2 in Houston on Tuesday. Atlanta runs to the top of the ninth. Reynaldo Lopez struck out 7 over 6 scoreless innings. Orlando Marcia hit a solo homer to left in the second and a sac fly in the 7th. The series finale is today. Lefty Max Fried starts for Atlanta. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. Download the Odyssey app, search The Fan Upstate, and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on The Fan Upstate.
Up to the minute upstate traffic. Northbound 85, right at mile marker 62. There's some equipment on the right shoulder. 6 to 10 on The Fan.
The Fan Upstate.
Traffic is a snail's pace southbound, starting at the 101 and not opening up until you get past Pillamore. And the news starts 98.9 WORD Traffic Center. I'm Bill Brooks on The Fan Upstate.
You expect your home to protect everything you love, but you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your foundation and damaging your home. Cracks in walls and uneven floors are just a few signs your foundation is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Mount Valley Foundation Services. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at fixmyfoundation.com.
If you like trivia, pizza, and beer, you're going
to Andrew, that's one of my favorite comments we've gotten.
Every Tuesday night starting at 7. Compete for mellow cash in our fun and funky digs while enjoying specials on amazing pizzas, apps, sandwiches, and salads. Tuesday is also pint night with all draft beer only $3.50. That's no trivial discount.
I am a huge fan of Bill Brooks. He has a unique voice.
He does.
He makes you listen. Whether it's to go, oh my gosh, that guy sounds like he's 97 years old. Whatever reason, you're listening to him. You made a comment about him as opposed to the person who used to do it, which we never got any comments about. And the way Bill Brooks says jam cam is it's just amazing.
I have an itch directly in the center of my back that I cannot reach.
I am not helping you. Yeah, because that's what it sounded like.
For official rules and to start earning entries. Are you a victim of
To do the like grizzly bear in the woods rubbing against
Well,
the door frame thing.
Well, those corners out there on either end,
Yeah.
they're pretty useful. Had to use the corners myself before.
Getting quality employees that stays in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, the
Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
always live from the Freelancia. Now, the Infinity Sports Network. Sound off on the text line.
The Rob Brown Show continues here on the Fan Upstate. Texter says Caleb Williams is a head case. He got exposed in and after the Notre Dame game that if you box him in, he's worthless. Look at his stats. Let me go find the second half of that text because I do want to finish it. He said, we got to clean this up. Look at his stats after the Notre Dame game. Garbage, as was his head. Jaden Daniels is the real deal. For the record, I absolutely agree that Jaden Daniels is the real deal. I think that guy is going to be. I don't think there's an aspect of the game that Jaden Daniels lacks. The only negative in the conversation about Jaden Daniels is that the guy runs into hard contact, and that's a big problem. I am going back and looking at Caleb Williams' stat this year. In the Notre Dame game, Caleb Williams went 23 of 37 for 199 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, and was sacked 6 times, a QB rating of 100, which was his lowest on the year. The bounce back game the next week was Utah, 24 of 34 for 256, no touches, no picks. Game after that, 23 against Cal, 23 of 40. Let's go to his next ranked opponents. Against Washington, a team that, of course, would go on to compete for a national championship. 27 of 35, 312 yards, 3 touchdowns. Against Oregon, a team that would compete for a Pac-12 championship and play in a de facto playoff game because the winner of that game was going to the playoffs. 19 of 34, 291, a touch, no interceptions. UCLA, 31 of 42, 384 yards, 1 touch, and 1 interception. And I would also point out that he was playing on a team that gave up 25, 24, 21, 31, 40, 25, 37, 34, 40, 35, 34, 42. It wasn't exactly like he had run support in these games. I know I'm sounding like a Caleb Williams apologist.
But it's not his fault. This defense was horrible. He had to come from behind all the time. I mean, that's what it sounds like.
For a guy who opened the show great one with the rest of the Pelicans failed Zion, you sure have changed to the opposite side of the aisle of no. It's not that his team was bad. It's that he's bad.
By the way, I was just saying that's what you sound like. I wasn't agreeing or disagreeing. I was just saying that's what you were sounding like. I agree that's what you sound like.
Do you agree that what I am saying is right or wrong?
Which part?
That Caleb Williams was playing for quarterback for a team that could not offer him defense or run support to assist.
If he scored more points, he wouldn't need his defense to bail him out.
There it is. That's not how football works.
Yeah, it is. If you score more points, you win the game. That's exactly how not only football works, but all sports.
When teams are taken out of their ability to play their game because they are having to make up for a defense that is a failure, and it changes what a guy can or has to do.
That defense was really good the year before?
No.
So then they are playing their game. So they consistently have bad defense. That is their game.
Was Caleb Williams a quarterback the year before?
No, but you're missing the point. You were saying.
No, I'm arguing the point's wrong.
Doesn't mean you're right.
It doesn't. But my argument is that when you are locked into a team like USC that's given up 42 every game, it makes what Caleb Williams
why
has
did
to
he
do to
go
be
to a
successful more
school
difficult.
that has bad defense? Why didn't he pick a school that had better defense?
Is that how that works?
In this day and age, absolutely. You can go wherever you want.
My dude followed Lincoln Riley, who, by the way, can we be honest, looks like a fraud.
They never had good defense.
Looks like a fraud.
So it is historically bad defenses under him. So why go there? You go. What I'm saying is, you picked a school where you knew you wouldn't have good defense.
I think they were supposed to have a very good defense. And it failed.
Since when? I mean,
since this year. They were supposed to be they were a projected top 4 preseason with a projected top 10 defense.
I don't remember that. I definitely would have laughed at that.
All right. Let's see. Texture says, Fields is trash. Lonzo's just the salty Buckeye fan. Of course he says that.
Thank you, Michigan, dude.
Texture said, love love Spencer Rattler as a target for the Vikings. Texture said, Johnny Football, perfect example. I would say Johnny Football, kind of the opposite of Spencer Rattler, in that Johnny Football absolutely came across as, and again, I loved me some Johnny Football.
Big star. I mean, he came in with big star quality, going to put fans in seats and a lot of things.
For the record, he absolutely did that.
For a little while.
He ended up not being good at the NFL. But if you've watched the doc, you know there was a lot more problems than his talent.
That's
his
true.
issues were off the field, not on them. As of
there
now,
was some on the field too.
Well,
but
there were.
Yeah.
As of right now, this is what I was talking about with Spence. As of right now, what off the field issues do we know about with Spencer Rattler? I have not heard of any. And usually they make their way, little birdies chirp in my ear. They did not for him. All right. We got to take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, hating-ass Mario Herron going to join us. We'll make a run up and down the play-in games from last night, the playoff games for tonight, and the playoff bracket as they are set to get started this weekend in the NBA. Before we do any of that, Lonzo set to just blow your mind with this sports flash.
No, that would be you. I thought I saw little birdies flying in there. That looks painful. The NBA playoffs will feature LeBron James after the LA Lakers knocked off the New Orleans Pelicans in the play-in tournament last night. Yes, I emphasized that as he walked through the door. 110-106. New Orleans trailed by as many as 18, but tied the game with minutes to play before Zion Williamson left with a leg injury. Williamson had 40 points, 11 boards, and an injury update is expected later today. Hasn't happened yet. Golden State Warriors got outscored 31-22 in the first quarter by Sacramento and were never able to fight back as they were eliminated. That means they're going home, no longer in the playoffs, by Sacramento, 118-94. More on that coming up with Mario in just a minute. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, and a whole lot of fun. And it's all Wire to Wire. BMW.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes.
Send the thing to Mario.
His invite is in his email.
Rating on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986.
Tax relief advocates, real solutions for real people.
As the nation's leader in using orthobiologics to deal
Thanks, Stephen. Appreciate it.
QC Kinetics has treated tens of thousands of patients.
For many of them, that treatment comes with a plan to lose weight, as we know that keeping a healthy weight puts less strain on your joints.
So now to help patients lose weight in the fastest and most effective way, QC Kinetics is excited to offer newly approved injectables for those who qualify.
If your weight is keeping you from living your best life, call QC Kinetics now and learn more about these next-generation weight loss options, including semaglutide and tirzepatide.
Even if you're just looking to look better and feel better by getting back to your ideal weight, call the medical professionals at QC Kinetics to see if you qualify for these revolutionary and effective treatments.
QC is making these amazing options accessible and affordable, and it starts with a free consultation.
Call 833-QCK-SLIM to get yours today. Lose the weight now and finally give your aching joints a break. Call 833-QCK-SLIM. That's 833-QCK-SLIM.
When people have a craving to explore new and traditional Asian cuisines, they head to P.F. Chang's, where scratch-made dishes come from the 2,000-year-old tradition of raw cooking. P.F. Chang's wanted to explore new possibilities for their website. They turned to AmericanEagle.com. AmericanEagle.com re-architected P.F. Chang's website, integrating multiple third-party systems to create a unified digital experience. The results? Improved page speed and performance, personalized content based on users' location, intuitive online ordering, and increase in organic search visibility, and a 40% increase in new users. For scratch-made Asian cuisine, visit your local P.F. Chang's or go to pfchangs.com for website design, development, digital marketing, and hosting that produce efficiency, revenue, and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com.
Hey there.
P.F. Chang's and AmericanEagle.com. Another example of the best businesses in the world. Turning to the
What up, Mario?
Good morning, gentlemen.
How we doing, buddy?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Glad to hear it.
I'm fine. Rob is not so much.
Okay.
Lonzo got me heated this morning.
Let's do my job, man.
Lonzo, are you happy that the dynasty that you hate is dead?
Yes, he is.
I'm
He's
ecstatic.
been giggling like a schoolgirl all morning long about it.
One might say that I'm giddy.
Yes, I would say that he is giddy. Yeah! Hour number 4, the final hour of the Rob Brown Radio program goes right now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Fan Upstate. Howdy, y'all. Welcome in. I am Rob Brown, the group, and Lonzo is on the other side of the metaphorical glass this AM, pushing the button, switching the switches, making the show sound as good as it does, and just putting on a masterclass of triggering me, I believe is the verb we use nowadays on the show today. Hey, Mario, hating-ass Mario Herron, executive producer of Bet for the Cycle every Saturday from noon to 4, and NBA/NFL analyst for the BetQL Network. Right now, you've got to make a decision. You can pick one of these two quarterbacks to thrive or fail for your team next year. You can have one and only one, and you are coaching for your job, Caleb Williams or Justin Fields.
Oh,
Right
Caleb Williams. Every single time. 10 times out of 10, no second question.
Alone.
Wow. Like you didn't know what he was going to say. Good for you.
I am right again.
No, see, two people can also be wrong.
QB. Oh, dude, I nailed that.
You think so? A little pitchy, dog.
Silky smooth.
That's a no from me.
All right. Like Seacrest, calm down. Quit blowing my phone up. All right. Mario Herron for the BetQL Network, a.k.a. Hating-Ass Mario, joins us here on the Rob Brown Radio program and the Fan Upstate. We've been heavy on the draft today, Mario, talking a lot about the quarterbacks. And, I've said, look, you're in Chicago now. You're as equipped to talk about this as anybody. Matt Eberflus had some success late in the year. I still don't understand why they think that guy is the guy, but I understand Chicago. As much as I still think you gave up on Justin Fields probably earlier than you should have. I think the situation's perfect for him in Pittsburgh to have the opportunity to prove that. But if you're in the spot that Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus are in right now, you gotta go get. I still think Jaden Daniels is a better quarterback.
By the way, really quick, if you're just listening on the radio and you're not watching on the stream, you should be watching on the stream. Mario has a Chicago Bears helmet in his background, which means he's going to be pro whatever they say. Yeah, that's his team. So yeah, they're going to make the right decision because it's his team. He's got to believe and hope and pray and all those things that they are making the right decision. He
doesn't get paid to cover the Bears.
Yeah. I don't get paid for biased information. Look, first off, that helmet's from my grandpa to my father, not to me. Hashtag Heron family. Let's go. And second, it's just you got to go with Caleb Williams. I mean, what's the hate on Caleb Williams, Lonzo? What's the hate? It's just because he has a pink phone. I like pink phones. Sean O'Malley has pink stuff. He knocks everyone out.
By the way, everyone throws that out there like the pink thing has anything to do with it. People around here obviously know the reason why I have a problem with it because where did the former quarterback go to college?
If Justin Fields wasn't a Buckeye, Lonzo would be all on board. I appreciate his admitting it at least. Like,
I don't know that that's for sure, but definitely one of the reasons why I have a problem with this move is because of that for sure.
Respect it. I do. Hey, let's talk play in basketball first and foremost. Mario, if Zion doesn't get hurt last night, the Pelicans win that game.
Oh, true. True statement, true all the way. Especially, I texted you 5:48 left.
Yep.
LeBron versus Zion. He gets a huge block, gets the stop, goes down, scores on the other end. He has a 40-point burger. Lakers had no answers for him. It would have been a Pelicans W if he stayed on the floor. And if Brandon Ingram decided to show up at any point in the game and decided to be anything that he wanted to be. I understand that he was hurt. I understand that he wasn't 110%. But that being said, dude didn't play the last 5-6 minutes of that game, like didn't even become valuable to the team at that point. Zion's healthy or BI decides to attribute to the team, 100% the Pelicans win that game.
Yeah, this is all because the Lakers had an 18-point lead and then they showed how old they are. If they weren't as old as they are right now, they would have blew the Pelicans out of the water.
I mean, yeah, if you lined them up against the 2020 Lakers, it's a different game. Turns out they weren't available because that was 4 seasons ago.
LeBron played as well as he needed to win this game.
I would argue, who the hell are you? Mario. I would argue.
I've been having this effect all day.
That's a strong
Yeah, I just, my bad.
Discombobulated. I would make the argument as much as, yes, I could have dealt with some BI help here and there. CJ McCollum going from a guy that was averaging 30.5 points a game for 7 consecutive, coming out and going 1 of 9 from behind the arc was it. I needed you to go 3 of 9, 33. Yeah. I'm not asking for an all-star night. I'm not asking for a night that we sing songs about in the Big Easy for years to come. I just needed you to be 33%, not 10 from the floor. And the Pelicans are on their way to the Denver Nuggets.
Especially you'd expect that out of him, right? Like, that guy's a veteran. He's been in a lot of playoff battles. He's been in a lot of big playoff moments. He's been part of a Western Conference Finals run. He's been a part of a lot of big things. You'd expect him to at least give you 17 in that night, not give you 9. Like, you'd expect him to be a huge playmaker. You'd expect him to, if Zion doesn't get hurt, also to that factor, CJ McCollum's on the bench to finish that game, Like, that's just the truth of the situation. There's something to be said about the Lakers' age. I get that, Lonzo, and like the comeback, but I think also too I could attribute also to a very young team that the bench decided to step up when the starters didn't. And I think that can also attribute to how the Pelicans kind of came back in this game. That being said, if Zion's healthy, I think the Pelicans can still win and stay in the playoffs. But if Zion's not healthy, I think Sacramento is going to have a dance with the Thunder.
All right, let's talk about the other one that took place last night. You mentioned it, the Sacramento Kings knock off Golden State. I think at this point, the majority of us feel like the Golden State dynasty took the final bullet last night. They are cooked. On the flip side, I really like this Kings team. I love Sabonis. I love De'Aaron Fox. Keegan was out there absolutely yoking last night. Like, there's not a part of Sacramento's game that really lacks. And they show that. Well, that was not an awful effort from the Dubs. The Kings are just a good, solid young team right now.
Yeah, they're a solid team, and there's a couple of mistakes that I thought Steve Kerr made that I just didn't really understand. One was the early play of Trace Jackson Davis and had him guard a wing. He just, not comfortable at all guarding a wing. He looked uncomfortable. He was exposed in that, and I think that was a big failure by the Warriors just to start off that game. But the Kings had guys step up. Keegan Murray obviously had a huge game in 32 points when the year before he was a guy that was a rookie and just looked really lost on the playoff floor and just looked like a guy that was getting pretty overwhelmed by the moment. He wasn't overwhelmed by the moment this time. Sabonis obviously did his damage. Fox did his damage. And look, this is a team that I think was really hyped for the moment. This is a team that there's a little bit of a California rivalry where they really wanted to bring into the Warriors, and they did. I think, I'll kind of disagree with you a little bit, Rob, where I think it was more of that moment of this is a chance to take out the top Californian team of the past 10 years. Let's freaking do it. Let's knock them out. I think it was more of that than like this team's really built for success. I also worry that, Malik Monk, as of right now, is probably not going to be around for the first round of the playoffs. That takes away a lot of their bench scoring, takes away a lot of their scoring overall. Them, beating the Pelicans and facing the Thunder. If I'm the Thunder, I thought I'm sitting here going, this is the best case scenario for us. This is the team we always wanted to play in the first round. A team that's not fully healthy right now. That team that we know we can beat versus I would not want to play the Lakers. I would not want to play the Warriors. I would not want to play the Pelicans. So I think it's going to be an overall pretty good beat for the Thunder. And if I'm pretty happy if I'm an OKC fan.
All right, so obviously Sacramento still does have to win one more game, and as much as I hate to say it, dude, it comes down to Zion. If the guy can go in Thursday night, then I think the Pelicans win that basketball game. If Zion is out for any length of time, if Zion's going to miss that game, he's out for the offseason because it will be offseason time for New Orleans. I don't see a road to victory for New Orleans that doesn't include Zion Williamson, even though the Pellies have at this point gotten used to playing without him. Without that guy on the floor, Sacramento's going to the 8th seed.
Yeah, no, 110%. And I think it's one, I just wanted to congratulate, and if I could give a high five, maybe even a hug to him, I would. Lonzo, the Warriors are officially dead. Klay Thompson had 0 points. And I imagine that your heart is filled with happiness. It's filled with joy. And you're happy to, put them in the grave a little bit. Bury them.
Haters.
Yeah, it's hard for me to convey the joy in my heart. And normally I do not laugh out loud, but I have been doing that all show long. So that just shows you how excited I am for this to be happening, and the fact that Binky Boy went home and Clay's going somewhere else and Draymond's going to be on the sideline somewhere, and that dynasty is now officially over.
It sickens me. It sickens me. It makes me feel ill to listen to that. All right, let's talk about the games in the East tonight. We can get into Atlanta and Chicago. It doesn't matter who wins that game. They're getting bounced in the second round. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, doesn't matter at all. I'm a Bulls fan. Doesn't matter.
Let's talk about the Sixers and the Heat. The Sixers did list Joel Embiid as questionable for this game, Mario, but from what I understand, it's more precautionary than it is anything else. He is expected to be a full go. The Sixers, with a healthy Joel Embiid, have the third shortest odds in the East to win the NBA championship, and that is as a 7 seed in a play-in game, or they're the team I'm betting on out of the East because I don't trust Boston. There are some other good teams out there. I don't think as good as Eric Spoelstra has been as a playoff coach, as good as playoff Jimmy Buckets can be, I just don't think they've got the guys around him. Terry Rozier being out with neck spasms is a big problem. And I'm looking around the rest of the teams in the East. There's some teams I like. I like Tyrese Halliburton in Indiana. There's some teams that I like. But with a healthy Joel Embiid, the 76ers have got to be one of the favorites to put a bet on.
Definitely one of the favorites to put a bet on. When they were kind of on the run this year before Embiid got hurt, I was a big stan of. I think can finally be the Sixers' year because I'm a big Nick Nurse guy. I mean, he's just a defensive genius. I think he was getting finally the best out of the team. And someone that you didn't mention there, Rob, is like Tyrese Maxey. The step he's taken this year without James Harden has been monstrous. And if you even look at the past 2 games against the Heat and those wins for the Sixers, they were wins dominated by Maxey. 37 points in the last one, a close comeback when they pulled it off. And he's been someone that the Heat haven't been able to solve. All that being said, Eric Spoelstra drinks the Michael Jordan juice, Michael Jordan water in Space Jam, and he turns into something. Jimmy Butler does the same. Bam Adebayo does the same. I hate this guy more than anything. Tyler Hero kind of does the same. And then these guys change and they form into these big monsters, and they dominate teams, and they make every situation suffering and have these defensive schemes that creates nightmares for every star player. I'm going to take him to cover tonight, 5.5. I think he can cover. I don't think they'll win this game, though. Like you said, a healthy Embiid's a scary team. I am still all in on the Celtics, though. Like, I am all in on the Celtics. I think this is Celtics East. I think they walk through the East. Like, they're first in bench net rating this year. Like, their bench is fantastic. The first in offense rating, second defensive rating, first in net rating, best record against teams with a 500 record or better. They are a juggernaut. This is the most talented team they've had in a very long time, and it's a strong defensive team. It's a strong offensive team. I think they walk through the East.
What has changed? Because the C's have been in similar spots the last handful of years, and there's just always a choke job somewhere down the line, right? And I don't know if it's, like I said, I think Philadelphia could be it. If Philly loses to Miami, if Philly finds a way to lose to Miami, and then they beat Atlanta or Chicago Friday, and they catch the 8th seed and go up against Boston in round 1, like, convince me that Joel Embiid and the Sixers can't win that game, can't win that series based on what we see Boston do every single year, which is get here, convince us all they're for real this time, and then not be for real this time.
I think it's a fact of you substituted Drew Holiday for Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart's a fantastic player, but Charles Barkley says this on all our promos. He's not a true point guard, and in big moments, he tends to go for himself and not for the team. We saw many times last year where Marcus Smart thought he was the one that should be taking the shot to win the game. He shouldn't be. It should be Jason Tatum. It should be Jaylen Brown, or it should be Derek White. And I would say Derek White before Porzingis and Drew Holiday. And you substitute Drew Holiday, who's a very unselfish point guard. He's one of the best wing defenders in the league. You have Porzingis, who's a great three-point shooter. He's a great individual scorer himself. That also elevates the Celtics team. And I think also ahead in this playoffs, we've seen this year kind of different Jason Tatum. And in that moment, too, I think we are Tatum that's going to be a little bit more relaxed. I feel like he can take control, because I think sometimes with Marcus Smart, a lot of times last year, he didn't feel like he could, because Smart always took it as minute left. I got it. It's me. And it's like, buddy, it's not you. You are a 3-and-D guy. Just stay in that lane. And I think Drew Holiday kind of understands that better. It's another year for Mazzulla that as a head coach to kind of be more mature. And I think he learned a lot in that first year. We gave him a lot of crap. He still made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think that makes this team all but different. And at the bottom of the line, they're healthy. They're a healthy team. You mentioned the Heat, they're not healthy. The Sixers, they're not healthy. The Knicks, Brunton's going to get hunted here soon, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, just stay tuned. Pacers don't play enough defense. They're not ready. Magic's too young. It's the Celtics. It's the C's. It's Boston. My grandpa's going to be very pumped when they make it to the NBA Finals before they get washed by a Western Conference team.
Out of pick your poison either side, regardless of which direction you want to go, give me not a 1 seed. To me, Denver, Cody Decker and I have said this on Bet for the Cycle on Saturdays a bunch of times, Mario. Denver never feels like they hit the accelerator. Like they just cruise controlled to a 2 seed. And I'm to the point now, as big of a Denver guy as I've been all year, because I love Jamal Murray. I love Nikola Jokic. I enjoy watching their game. I'm almost to the point where I'm going, okay, was I wrong? Is it that they never hit the accelerator, or they just don't have that same last gear that they had last year? And that's why they're a 2 seed and not a 1 seed in the West. Is Denver the 2 seed, the most dangerous, not 1 seed? Is there a 4 or 5 Dallas with Luka somewhere that you think is the program that might shock everybody? Is there a play-in team you could think to make some noise? Because Look, Zion comes back healthy. Zion goes out there and they beat Sacramento, which they've done every time they've lined up with Sacramento for like the last 2 years in a row. I'll take the Zion-led Pelicans if they are playing well with B.I. and CJ, which they did not last night. But if that team clicks like they were clicking when they went on the road and beat Sacramento, when they went on the road and they beat Golden State, and they beat all these teams to get in, like, tell me that team can't beat, not won't, but can't beat a team like Oklahoma City. I feel like the parity is real good this year on both sides with the exception of Boston. Who's the team lower than a 1 that you think is the big surprise playoff run?
So obviously, like, first and foremost, it is like the Nuggets, just to get that way, just because the reigning champs, they have the best player in the NBA. So I think it's very hard to like not save them. But then that would just ruin this exercise 110%. So I'm going to go something a little bit more fun because hey, we like to have fun. To me, it's the Timberwolves 110%.
The same team that like 3 weeks ago, you're like, oh, this team's going to tank. They're done. They're toast. No Cat. They're in trouble. That same Timberwolves?
It worried me. It worried me, no Cat. I didn't know what's going to happen. But then Anthony Edwards said, hey, I forgot. I'm kind of a beast. I'm kind of like one of the top 5 best players in the NBA. By the way, if you want, 3 minutes left in the game, you better hope I'm not on the floor. I didn't know Anthony Edwards had all that in him, and now I know he has all that in him. I think it's them 110%. You rewind last year, I was pressing the crazy button on Cat saying that they were the best matchup for the Nuggets, that the Nuggets' hardest series was them, and the Nuggets even said, yeah, actually the hardest series was against them. And you look at this team now, a year older, a team that's healthier than they were a while ago. But even when Cat was out, like, this is a team that was still 17-10 since All-Star break. Like, they still fine. Like, they still figure it out. And then there's still another level for them to go. They're tied for the best record against teams that are 500 or better. They're defensively, they're a nightmare for every team. They're second defensive rating. Offense, they kind of take a dip. But again, that was due to a lot of Cat being out. That's going to change with Cat being in there. To me, it's the Timberwolves are the other team that can win the West. I think it's between them and the Nuggets. Teams I wouldn't be surprised by. The last time Luka had an amazing second scorer with him that could carry the team when he was on the bench and he didn't have to do everything was Jalen Brunson, and they ended up being pretty good and go to the West Conference Finals. That wouldn't surprise me. They have a hard matchup getting past the Clippers, but Clippers think that they can just turn everything on and they're good, and that's going to come back and hurt them. I wouldn't be surprised by the Mavericks. I would be surprised by the Suns because I'm anticipating an injury and anticipating an epic collapse. I'm anticipating Beal going, hey, guys, I'm hurt. Now I'm just anticipating that. And Nurkic to have 4 fouls within 4 minutes, and then he's out for the rest of the game. And then they just don't have a center, and then they get dominated on the inside. So I think it's Timberwolves, Nuggets are the teams I feel 100% confident they can win the West. The team I wouldn't be surprised by, Mavericks, kind of the Clippers. I'm just going to cheer for the Clippers because I love Kawhi, and that's insane, but I do.
Kawhi getting added to the Olympic team. Big fan. Big fan of that.
Big fan.
Love that. Love that.
Surprised, but big fan.
Hating ass Mario Herron. He is an NBA analyst for the BetQL Network. He also joins us every Wednesday to talk NBA ball. And next week we're going to do some NBA ball, but we'll talk some draft too. What are the Chargers doing?
Dude, I've gone back and forth so many different times. I've heard so many different things, but I'm anticipating a trade back 110% with the Vikings. But I think it's all determined too about what the Cardinals are going to do. If the Cardinals don't trade, they trade. Cardinals do trade, they're going to stay right there. I think they're going to get Marvin Harrison Jr. But if Cardinals do, so keep that in mind. Do trade, Marvin Harrison Jr. Don't trade, they're trading back and getting an offensive lineman, and I'm sad. But then it'll probably get another pick.
I like it. Mario Herron. You can find him on Saturdays with me and Cody Decker on Bet for the Cycle on the BetQL Network. Appreciate you, big fella. Talk to you next week.
Always a pleasure, gentlemen. Great seeing you guys. Look as good as always. No one looks better in the morning than you two, gentlemen.
He's right. He's absolutely right.
I don't blame him. See you next week, big dog.
See ya.
Mario Herron from the BetQL Network. He will rejoin us next Wednesday. We'll talk some more draft. We will talk more NBA because we'll be in the playoffs at that point. When we come back, a bit of news for Lamont Paris. A big get, a big acquisition for the South Carolina Gamecock men's basketball team. We'll tell you about it when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
most trusted forecast on the Fan Upstate. Partial sunshine develops today, high of 83. Tonight, chance for storms, a low of 59. Thursday, sunny, high of 87. Friday, chance for storms, 85. Sunny Saturday, chance for rain on Sunday.
All right. Pardon me for just a minute, folks. You get away if you need to. I got to the restroom.
Okay.
And now, the morning sports spin, powered by Ingles. Low prices, love the savings.
The saying goes that all good things must come to an end, right? Well, last night I was watching the Lakers and Pelicans in the play-in game. I sadly thought to myself, man, LeBron's career is coming to an end. There's not many more years of this left. Me being a huge LeBron fan appreciates his greatness. I appreciate what he's done for the sport of basketball. LeBron now in his 21st season, almost 40 years old. So I believe this begs the question, do we as sports fans not appreciate greatness the way we should? What do you think? This is Cole from Wire to Wire.
Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson.
This afternoon, 3 to 7 on the Fan. Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, and on the Odyssey app.
Ingles Markets is a proud sponsor of the Wire to Wire Sports Spin. From the playing field to the stands to your own living room, Ingles Markets has everything you need to fuel your athlete or satisfy all the hungry fans in your life. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Every business faces challenges, but complicated, expensive, and uncertain shipping shouldn't be one of them.
With USPS Ground Advantage from the United States Postal Service, you can avoid all the
No more unexpected surcharges, hidden fees, or complex rate structures.
It's just easy, cost-effective, and dependable shipping. Tune your business's frequency to success and turn shipping to your advantage. Learn how at USPS.com/advantage. USPS Ground Advantage. Simple, affordable, reliable.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you. With Allstate, I want to be on the driver who treats the highway like a racetrack and the shoulder like a passing lane. Why pay a rate based on anyone else? Get one based on you with DriveWise from Allstate.
Not available in Alaska or California, subject to terms and conditions. Rates are determined by several factors, which vary by state. In some states, participation in DriveWise allows Allstate to use your driving data for purposes of rating. While in some states, your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Generally, safer drivers will save with DriveWise. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company in Phillies, North Park, Illinois.
The Fan Upstate is your headquarters for the 2024 Wire to Wire with Cole Bryson and Diesel live from Dave & Buster's in Greenville. Thursday, April 25th from 3 to 7 p.m. While we're there, stop by and get a free $20 power card and 15% off Dave & Buster's great food. We'll count down to the start of the picking process with expert analysis, exclusive interviews, and insider scoops, plus the best live coverage. It's the Fan Up with the NFL Draft on the Fan Upstate. Your guide to the gridiron, the maestro of the matchups, and the keeper of all things cool in the sports world. This is the Fan Upstate.
Texter said, why don't dinosaurs make good pets? Because they're dead, like the Warriors. Lulz.
Good one. Very good one.
You want to win in college sports? There's a handful of things you got to do. And one of the things that most people think is on that list is you got to win on the home front. You got to make sure that the best, most talented players from your own backyard are on your roster. It is something that Clemson has done over the years. It has been a struggle for South Carolina to keep up in that department, mainly because it forces you to have to go recruit outside of your state. That's tougher to do. Well, Lamont Paris has figured that out. He did it with G.G. Jackson. Now he has done it with one of the top shooting guards in the class of 2024 in Cam Scott. The 6'5" senior out of Lexington High has committed to the South Carolina Gamecocks. He decommitted from the University of Texas, where he has been committed since last August. He said, quote, "It just felt like the best situation for my family at this time. Obviously, distance became a factor. With my prior recruitment and relationship with Coach Paris and his staff, it's made this transition that much smoother for my family and the loved ones," end quote. Cam Scott is a 4-star prospect, ranked as the number 34 overall player in the 2024 class. He is also the number 7 shooting guard nationally and the number 1 ranked player in the state of South Carolina. On3 Sports has this write-up as his scouting report. Quote, Cam Scott is a lengthy wing prospect with a lot of pop. The natural tools are very impressive all the way around. Scott has a mature game, plays within the flow of the offense, rarely forces things. The jump shot release can be cleaned up a little, but the pull-up is smooth. Since the summer, Scott has developed his footwork and handle in the half court, creating space to elevate into his jumper. Scott can take over a game and carry his team. Would like to see him develop the comfort to take a more aggressive alpha role on his team. He is very efficient in his game. His ability to score with the less is more approach is mature. Strength will come, and he is tracking as one of the top players in the 2024 class, end quote. This is a get for Lamont Paris. It is a get because you are keeping a South Carolina kid at home. It is a get because the Texas Longhorns, a team that is trending very much upwards in the land of college basketball, have just gotten the cupboard robbed by Lamont Paris. And it is a get because you are adding to a spot that South Carolina needed desperately last year, which was the mid-range jumper, which was somebody that could take the ball, penetrate, and either hit the pull-up or demand defenses come outwards to him. And that's what Cam Scott is. I like this pickup for him. I like this pickup for Lamont Paris. I like this pickup for South Carolina. You get a guy to stay home, and you get a guy that adds a facet to the offense that I think South Carolina, to some degree, was missing last year. You add him to a Colin Murray-Boyles. You add him to some of the guys that have been able to play the post the last couple of years for South Carolina, and all of a sudden, you've got a 3-pronged threat. This is an enormous pickup. This is a fantastic pickup for Lamont Paris. Own the state. Own the state. And this is in that direction. Lamont has had a couple of coups in the state of South Carolina the last couple of years. And if you can keep this sort of recruiting heat turned up, especially at a point where, let's not mince it up here, your in-state rival just went to the Elite Eight. Your in-state rival got taken down by the best team in the Southeastern Conference in the Elite Eight in a very good game. The Brad Brownell could really start to make some headway in recruiting the state. So for South Carolina, a team that did make the tournament, but disappointingly got bounced in the opening round, to be able to come off of that and immediately start grabbing headlines like this one, that's real good news. That's real good news for him in this spot. I love this. I love this pickup. I love this player in this offense. I think Lamont Paris's offenses are kind of predicated around that. That's why you saw the blow up of guys like Colin Murray-Boyles, especially going into the tournament, going through the SEC tournament. I like this pickup. You steal a guy from Texas, you keep him in the house. And he's not the only one. It's a year off, but Eli Ellis, a 4-star point guard for the 2025 class out of Moravian Prep in North Carolina, chose the Gamecocks over a final group of College of Charleston, VCU, Mississippi State, and Virginia Tech. He is the number 99 overall prospect in the 2025 cycle, but he is the number 17 point guard prospect and the number 4 player in the state of North Carolina. I think that the Carolinas are, fairly or unfairly, when it comes to basketball, they are lumped together. And it makes sense, right? It makes sense that they are, but they're lumped together. So if you can start making headwaters into North Carolina, into basketball country, specifically in the north side of North Carolina, it shows you're on the map. Ellis said, quote, I chose South Carolina because my whole life I've been an underdog. That's where I thrive, and that's when I'm my best. Carolina are the underdogs, and everybody loves an underdog. I also choose USC because of how much it reminded me of home. On my visit, it felt like I had to go there. talking about the staff. He said, quote, I love the coaching staff at South Carolina. Another reason I chose USC was how much Coach Paris believed in me. Nobody thinks I can play in the SEC, but Coach Paris knows I can. Coach Buckley is a great guy and has been talking to me the whole way, and so is everybody else on the staff. They all have a great bond and treated me like family, end quote. Gives you an outside shooter. Again, this is a year off before Ellis gets in there. But I think the point here is when you add Cam Scott for this upcoming year, when you add Eli Ellis for next year, you are looking at a team that, as far as I am concerned, has done a very good job of addressing where they came up short last year in their tournament run. That's fantastic. That's a great pickup, a couple of great pickups for South Carolina. You add players from within the market, from within the area, from within the state. What do you want? Lamont Paris has earned trust of players. Lamont Paris is not just getting guys, but he's getting marquee guys, and he's getting marquee guys that fit within the system. CMB just had one of the best freshman seasons that I have seen. That I'll say you guys, because again, I'm not gonna lie, I'm 4 years deep into covering South Carolina athletics. You guys have seen more and talked more about these teams than I have over the years. But I have had folks that have said to me, hey, look, CMB just had one of the best freshman seasons that a power forward freshman has had for the Gamecocks in a very long time. And now you bring him back. You're going to throw Cam on the opposite side from him. Now we're keeping a look on the transfer portal. The recruiting is going very, very well. Like, this is huge. This is a big deal for South Carolina basketball. I like this pickup. Congratulations to Lamont Paris for nabbing Cam Scott away from Texas and bringing him back home. That's a solid pickup. All right, we will address that more as we get closer to college basketball season. Obviously, just around the corner from right now. Got a few more things that I would like to run to and run through on the show. Here is one. Speaking of NIL, this one is interesting. When the NIL era began, a lot of discussion went into how much impact, if any, should schools be able to have directly on the NIL multiverse, if you will. And initially it was none, and then it was, well, they can work with collectives, but they still got to have hands off, whatever. The NCAA's NIL working group has introduced a proposal that, if passed, would allow schools to provide, quote, assistance and services, end quote, to their athletes in pursuit of NIL opportunities, including identifying opportunities for them, as well as potentially facilitating deals with third parties on behalf of the athletes. The proposal, according to Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports, is, quote, on a parallel track and interconnected with the NIL protections legislation that the council adopted in January. That legislation, 1, creates a voluntary registration process for NIL professional service providers, such as agents and advisors. 2, a disclosure database of athlete NIL deals of $600 or more. And 3, standardized NIL contracts, as well as a comprehensive educational plan, end quote. So we are effectively moving in a direction in which the schools are not only going to be allowed to, but it almost feels like they would be mandated to be very hands-on with NIL dealings for their athletes moving forward. Basically, you are going to create a spot where the schools are going to be able to not just get involved, but potentially organize and orchestrate NIL deals on behalf of their athletes, not make money off of them. But again, Even though, yes, 9 out of 10 times, if an organization's going to get involved in something, they are doing it so that they can make that money. Obviously, that's how most decisions in the land of adults are made. There are times, pardon the influencer language, where exposure matters. And this is one of those times. The value in taking 10% out of a $600 NIL deal, the value there is not as great as the value as helping your student athletes orchestrate, organize, and execute good NIL deals so that they go out there and go, hey, South Carolina's athletics department was phenomenal in helping me maximize my NIL potential, and having future student athletes go, well, that's kind of a big deal to me. That's kind of something that I want to make sure I have the best chance at when I get to school, is maximizing my potential NIL value. And that's what this is about. Or at least that's how it feels to me on the surface. This is about creating, we talked about that database the NCAA is looking at a couple of weeks ago, where you go, you get that NIL deal with Bob's Used Cars. And after your NIL deal with Bob's Used Cars, you can pop into this database and go, I just got a $1,000 a month NIL deal with Bob's Used Cars. And they made the negotiations very simple. They paid me what I believe to be a fair rate for my services, for my brand. And the paychecks came in on time, and I didn't have to fight them for money. And they really took care of me, Bob's Used Cars did. And I very much appreciate that out of them. And now South Carolina kids or recruits can go look at that database, and they can see that Bob's Used Cars did a great job. Or the opposite is true as well. They go to Columbia, they get hooked up with Hank's Used Appliances, and Hank goes out there and, he offers them a $250 a month NIL deal. And then this kid down the line finds out that that was dramatically lower than his market value. And the negotiations were a pain in the rear end. And after the negotiations were done, they had to go fight Hank's Used Appliances to get their paycheck in on time or whatever. Well, if I'm a kid that's looking at recruiting and I see that there are a bunch of NILers there in Columbia that are giving athletes a real hard time, that might make me turn my eyes away. And now, if this new legislation goes through, the schools would be able to assist and maybe keep that reputation down to a minimum, which frankly is good for everybody. I don't have an issue with any of this. I don't have an issue with the schools getting involved. I don't have an issue with the schools coming up with ways to make sure that, because it is just important that their reputations, that their area's reputation, that their school's reputation is protected from bad faith NIL actors, because if it is, that's harmful to everyone. And they ain't trying to be about that life either.
I wish I had something to argue about, but I don't. This is a natural progression. This is something that needs to happen. If NIL is going to continue to exist, and it will, you've got to find a way to regulate things. And this is a step towards that.
I think that, great one, there is not a group of entities in the game that are going to care more about the kids getting treated fairly and about the reputation of the school and the area when it comes to recruiting and whatnot. I don't think there is an entity that has a reason to do a better job and make sure the landscape is fair than the schools themselves. If NIL stuff starts going sour on these schools down the line, they will get dinged and damaged potentially more than the athletes themselves. I think, to me, it makes perfect sense to have the schools involved. Not from the perspective of taking money off the plates of the cheering, but protecting the image, protecting the brand within that market. The schools have, frankly, probably more to lose than the players themselves. Because if it gets out there that if you go to UT Austin, there's a bunch of NIL folks out there who do not have your best interest at heart. And you're a mama bear that's looking to decide where your kid's going to go play ball in conjunction with your kid, because let your kid go where your kid wants to go, obviously. And you get on this database and you find out that there's a bunch of shady characters down in Austin, Texas, taking advantage of student athletes, and the school's just letting it happen. I'm very much less inclined to let old RB4 go play linebacker there. I think it makes perfect sense. Let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. Run through a couple of quick hitter stories on the way out. We'll ask what the X is going on, and we will call it a day. Rob Brown, the Great Malonzo, and you. The Rob Brown Show carries on and wraps up next right here on the Fan Upstate.
Coastal Carolina beat number 11 North Carolina 5-4. Number 12 Wake Forest fell 8-5 at home against UNC Wilmington. Number 20 South Carolina 4-3 winners at the Citadel. The Braves beat the Astros 6-2 in Houston on Tuesday. Atlanta put up 4 runs at the top of the ninth. Reynaldo Lopez struck out 7 over 6 scoreless innings. Orlando Arcia a solo homer to left in the second and a sac fly in the seventh. The series finale is today. Lefty Max Fried starts for Atlanta. Bundle auto and hold.
I don't have a nap built into the schedule today, and I'm very disappointed by that.
Well, that's not good.
No, it's not. It's tragic.
At Home Trust Bank, we work hard to prepare businesses for whatever tomorrow may bring. Your dreams.
When I see Cece?
Consolation Caitlin.
Oh, okay. Because when I see Cece, I think of my cousin, whose nickname is Cece, and my papaw, whose nickname was Cece. But, you know. But we now know what comes to Rob's mind when he sees Cece. So there's that.
Well, I pointed it out earlier in the.
I didn't. Well. I had already forgotten about her.
Rude.
We're moving on to other things.
More important things.
Which we have.
Than some washed up, has been, forgettable basketball player.
Which was talked about in hour number 2 and then never mentioned again. So, I mean, you know, there's that.
We're very busy on the show today.
That is true. Very, very true. Thing about my blood pressure, it's been pretty even the entire show. Other people, not so much.
Not mine. It has been spiked.
I'm a waitress, so I know the difference between regular shoes and Skechers slip-resistant work shoes. Skechers slip-resistant work shoes make my job go like this. Here's your pasta primavera. Thanks. While regular shoes make my job go like this. Here's your pasta primavera. And that difference is why I wear Skechers.
Whoa.
Safe on my feet. Plus, they're easy to clean and has Skechers exclusive air-cooled memory foam for comfort throughout my shift. Get America's #1 selling work shoe at Skechers.com, a Skechers store near you, or wherever work shoes are sold. From the Ingles Market Studio.
Your ticket to the best local sports. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg. Always streaming wherever you are on the Odyssey app. Early birds get the sports scoop.
Wrapping up the Rob Brown radio program here on the Fan of State. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob and Lonzo wrapping up. Why am I talking like that?
I don't know why you're suddenly speaking like this. Welcome into the fine program.
Welcome to the Bob Dylan Sports Hour. I don't know where that came from. I don't think I'm okay. As Lonzo has pointed out to me, the blood pressure has been spiked like a handful of times today. And that's okay. Sports are a big deal. All right. Sports are a big deal. Hey, coming up on tomorrow's show, it'll be 1 week away from the National Football League draft, which means it's time for us to start getting very serious. Not just talking about the quarterbacks. All right. Quarterbacks get enough love. They get enough attention. They're the conversation going on every show.
So you're saying no quarterbacks tomorrow?
No, we're not talking quarterbacks tomorrow.
Okay, none at all.
No quarterbacks tomorrow.
We'll see.
Probably no quarterbacks tomorrow.
That's probably a smart move.
I think probably is going to be the way that
the plan is no quarterbacks tomorrow.
The plan is no. I feel like like the quarterback discussion has been driven into the ground, right? The quarterback discussion has been going since the end of the college football season, and there is a reason for it. It is the most important position in the National Football League. That's not
just
a
not,
debate.
Just not tomorrow.
Just not tomorrow. Am I missing something? Am I already unaware of something that is going to happen tomorrow that I'm just not thinking about that is going to demand conversation about quarterbacks?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
So hope that's not like an ill omen or something. I mean,
I'll tell you what I would like to talk about. I would like to talk about Brock Bowers. I would like to talk about the tight end position. I would like to talk about the resurgence. By the way, good news for Lonzo. Travis Kelce has accepted a job to host a game show on Netflix. So he's totally dialed in right now. Are you getting the vibe Travis Kelce's like ready to wrap it up and just go be a celebrity?
Why do you think earlier, like a month or so ago, or whenever it was, I said that Kansas City should draft Brock Bowers?
You have been saying that.
Yes, because I believe this is Kelce's last year. He hasn't said that, but I mean, things outside of football are drawing him. Much like when a wrestler suddenly starts showing up on TV shows and things, and then they're going to Hollywood. It's the same sort of thing.
My man's got himself the world's most famous woman as a girlfriend. He's got himself a new game show that he is going to host. By the way, can I also say, as somebody who was introduced by the great one to the New Heights pod not terribly long ago, Jason's the cooler brother.
He is.
Jason's the better.
Travis tries too hard to be cool.
I agree.
And Jason just is.
I agree. I like Travis Kelce. I like TK. I'm a fan. But if you gave me the opportunity to go slam Margs on the beach wearing luchador mask with one or the other, Jason's obviously the dude you want to hang out with.
I don't know what those things that you're slamming is, but I mean,
margaritas?
Oh, okay. You said Margs.
Margs.
You shortened some things, and I'm like, what the heck is he talking about? But because it's alcohol lingo, it's probably, I don't know, because it's alcohol lingo. But in this case, I think he just made that up.
I did not. Margs. I actually at one point owned a shirt that had the word water on it crossed out with Margs written underneath it. Big fan.
Because I love
vacation shirt.
segues. The first thing that's Xing is champagne problems.
Speaking of segues, Rashad Beard just texted me. He will be on the show tomorrow. So we'll get Rashad back. Missed him last week.
Cool.
With the week before the draft. Be good to have him back. Champagne problems. I am going to assume, great one, that this is going to fall under the same category as like first world problems.
Apparently it's a Taylor Swift song.
Oh, well, that's why.
Which also segues everything that
Back
we were
away
just,
from CK.
Yeah,
perfect.
Everything that we were just talking about. Courtney Love, I guess, has talked about the fact that someone is not a very good artist. Talking about Taylor Swift. Yeah, I know. Oh, no. Yeah, I know.
Oh no! If Courtney Love says you're not a good artist,
the foremost
no
authority on all things that are.
When I think about good, and don't get me wrong, like Courtney Love had like Hole was pretty good for a while there. Or was it Garbage? Which one was she in?
She was in Hole.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Garbage was the Irish.
Yeah,
One.
that's right.
Yeah.
Listen, Courtney Love had some good stuff, but I promise you, when I think to myself about the arbiter of what I'm allowed to enjoy, Courtney Love ain't it. I'm not exactly. You know why Tay-Tay's popular? Because she speaks to just regular people who have day-to-day emotions. Not everything's gotta be so deep. Hey, Creed's coming to town. No reason.
Okay. That didn't sound like Creed to me. It sounded like a band from Canada, but you know what?
Let's do another topic.
All right. Chris Paul is Xing.
CP3. I am a CP3 guy. I thought CP3 kind of needed something to happen for him for legacy purposes, because every time we have discussions about point guards, he's ignored.
Speaking of which,
yes, Golden State's eliminated.
Yeah,
we know.
Yeah, but it tarnishes his legacy because for the first time in like 18 years, CP3 is not going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So he switched teams, went to Golden State, followed the road of Kevin Durant.
And his old team, by the way, is locked in.
Yeah. So didn't work out too well for him. What a shame, you know?
I mean, listen.
I like Chris Paul, but
they needed
he made
a legitimate
made a bad
backup
move.
for Curry. That actually I thought was a good move. I feel bad for CP3 because I don't think he's on the Mount Rushmore of point guards, but the longevity that he has brought to the league, he deserves to be mentioned amongst the all-timers. And I think that loss last night kind of dinged him in that regard, which is a bummer, dude.
All right, last thing that's Xing.
Dude a lot today.
You did, bro. The last thing that's Xing is Lakers in 6.
Lakers getting beat in 6.
That's trending. It's
I'll tell you
Xing.
right now, I hope all y'all go throw money at the Lake Show to win over the Nuggets. I'm just going to wait for Denver's odds to keep dropping down to their longest spot, and then I'm going to hammer them because, and for the record, the Pelicans wouldn't beat the Nuggets either. Nikki Jokic is going to eat my dudes. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Thanks for being here. We'll see you tomorrow. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. Have a lovely rest of your Wednesday. It's the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate. Yeah!
And of course, it would have music behind it to ruin the entire thing.
Unbelievable.
Gosh. Let me do my job, man.
Some guy. I'll let you finish your math.
No, it's not going to matter. It's not. You guys said what?
Some weird podcaster guy went off on Liv Morgan for hurting Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, the one who said
he's back and said, "Guys, don't be mad at him. He probably pleasures himself in his socks for a living."
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
Live out here dropping bows.
and apparently on the thing he said that he's done better. Talking about Liv.
Yeah. Okay, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, neckbeard.
Yeah. Could be a stud, you know, maybe. I don't know. I would say, why is Liv Morgan caring about this guy? But it fits the narrative of what she's doing right now. So,
all right, dudes and dudettes, we're up out of here because I've got a noon meeting I got to get to. I appreciate you all being here. You're all spectacular people. Have a lovely rest of your day. Come back tomorrow. A lot of NFL draft stuff as we're a week out. We are, 3 weeks into the baseball season, so we'll do our MLB Power Rankings. Rashad Beard will be here, et cetera, et cetera. Goodbye.